Welcome to McChats here on McG TV. That's blip.tv/Mike McG TV. And as always, I am your host, Mike McG. And it's been a while since we had a podcast, but this is going to be a lengthy one because today I'm actually going to be doing some special commentary with a friend and fellow writer for NeverEndingRadicalDude.com, Mark Espinosa.
Hey, how you doing? Thanks for having me.
Yeah, good. It's good to finally get someone else besides Jason on the podcast. So
switch it up a little bit.
Yeah, we get to switch it up a little bit, have some fun.
There are other nerds out there.
Yeah, there are plenty more out there.
It's so many.
Now, this particular podcast actually has come about as a result of an episode of Marvel Sphere, which is a podcast we have over at Nerd, that Mark, myself, and Jason did regarding the recent Amazing Spider-Man 2 that came out in the beginning of May. And also, this is kind of inspired from Kevin Smith's Fat Man on Batman podcast, where he does commentaries for the Burton Batman films and things like of that manner. So, because as I found out, Mark is actually a Spider-Man fan as well, as much as I am, probably even more so.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we talked a little bit about how we actually enjoy the new take on Spider-Man and how we have respect for the old material that Sam Raimi did, but that there's some stuff there that, you know, isn't quite fully Spider-Man. And
yeah. No, I mean, I remember the idea of, because nowadays they announce a superhero movie, and okay, cool, that's great, another one, I'm all for it. But I remember back then it was the idea of them making a Spider-Man movie seem so monumental. Mm-hmm. So I was just excited to see it live action.
Well, because at that point too, like, comic book movies kind of began and started with stuff like Batman, with Burton's Batman, and then there was a period where we had like maybe Blade and an X-Men movie, but I wasn't really wowed by them. I thought they were cool. No. But then you get something like Spider-Man. Like, this is a colorful superhero.
Yeah. In
modern times, we're going to see how it plays out. And the more I heard about it, the more interested I got. We'll get into some specifics regarding casting and story. But I remember this production has had like a troubled history going back to like the mid-90s and things like that.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is one of those movies that was just waiting to catch up to CGI, and for just general atmosphere and, you know, the cinema world. Because comic book movies were out there, but to do something of this nature was just, I don't think people were ready for it yet.
That's true. And also the fact that you were kind of probably waiting for a director like Raimi, who was honestly like a fan. He was a Spider-Man fan since he was younger, and you were kind of waiting for someone to present that, like, I want to be as faithful as I can get, and it's fairly faithful.
Very, very much so.
Every artist gets to take liberties and so forth, just like in comic books themselves. But now that we've kind of gone through the spectrum of, you know, time where we saw the franchise kind of dip a little bit in the third installment.
Yeah. And
then now that we have, you know, we're in the post-Avengers world where we've seen what happens when Marvel is in full control of its cinema, you know, properties.
Yeah, and gives it like the utmost care and handling and just complete seriousness and just making quality films.
But still be entertaining, Yeah. And even going further, like, after seeing something like Dark Knight from Christopher Nolan, and then even seeing these darker interpretations of Spider-Man with Mark Webb's series. Yeah, there's definitely some stuff that we're kind of like, it's chintzy fun now. But
yeah, exactly. And it's Raimi, you know, so.
We're going to get into the film soon, but first, let's talk quick. Like, what is your first memory regarding the movie? Like, when did you first see it?
Wow. I mean, I feel like it came out in, 2013?
Spider-Man?
Yeah. This one?
It's 2002.
2002. 2013. Jeez, I'm sorry.
They rebooted it a full year after.
Oh, wait, we're not watching the web one? Oh, I'm sorry. I'm all messed up now. No, I remember, like, 2000, So it was a big monumental thing for me. I had always been a Spider-Man fan, and then the idea that they were making a live-action movie that seemed like the effects seemed top-notch, the casting seemed all right, the handling of it seemed like serious. I don't know. It was just really exciting to see. I remember waiting in line the night before at like midnight, just excited with a bunch of people and wanting to see it over and over after I had seen it for the first time.
I had the summer before, That was when they had the teaser trailer, the infamous World Trade Center trailer that got pulled, after 9/11, of course.
Yeah.
I remember sneaking into a screening of, I think it was Final Fantasy, The Spirits Within.
Oh, okay.
That crappy CGI movie.
I know it.
Yeah, you know it. They were teasing. They were going to show the teaser there, so I snuck in for like 5 minutes to watch it. I was like, oh, this is awesome, with the bank robbery and the big web between the Twin Towers.
That's crazy, because that was like a time when people were excited just for the trailer. I don't ever really remember feeling that way before, like sneaking to a movie just to see a movie trailer.
And also a time when trailers weren't spoiled online like the Tuesday ahead of time.
Yeah,
man, takes you back to the pre-YouTube days.
No, I mean, like, trailers are getting well into the third act now. You kind of see where the movie's going to be, where it's going, and it's kind of a bummer. Like, I'm excited to watch them because I just want more content to feed my brain, but then I just feel so disappointed by how much it gives away.
Right, exactly. And so, the anticipation kept building up for that more and more. We got a full trailer at Christmas and even an extra trailer in the spring. And then I remember we had just started my freshman year in college.
Yeah.
And it was the midnight screening, and I was drunk.
Yeah.
And so a friend and I went to go see it at midnight, and we were both just sitting there in the front row, like in this really small theater, because we went to a small college town. Mm-hmm. And the screen explodes with the opening titles, and well, let's get into that now.
Totally.
So what we're gonna do is, this is gonna be a commentary track that runs along with your copy of Spider-Man wherever you got it, through download or DVD or whatever. It's not gonna be like a jokey thing, so it doesn't have to be exactly in line with the movie, just close enough. We'll give like descriptions of what we're seeing, so you know where we are, and we're just gonna provide some discussion over the movie. So ready up your copy, and also you won't be hearing audio from this movie, just because rights and everything like that, and also
I hear you.
It'll keep us in line. We won't be like just falling silent for 20-minute gaps at a time just watching the film. All right,
which happens.
Mark and I are going to be pressing play on our respective copies of the movie in 3, 2, 1. Play. So we open up on the Columbia logo here.
Yeah.
And did you know it was Danny Elfman who did the score for this film?
I had forgotten, and then as I rewatched it recently, just kind of refreshing myself with it, I noticed that.
Yeah.
And it's kind of a big deal.
I had no idea he did the score before, because you kind of read about movie tidbits here and there, and who's in the movie, obviously. But I had completely blacked out that it was Danny Elfman doing the score until I hear. I'm like, this sounds very Batman-y.
Yeah. His music is very noticeable, and it's part of some of like the more important movies of our time.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you can trace Danny Elfman music to like some of your most pivotal movies in your growing up.
Mm-hmm. And there is the main title, Spider-Man, really cool stylized version.
Yeah.
And this, X-Men had just said X-Men and Blade with Blade. Like, this was back in the time when we didn't have to say, like, The Amazing Spider-Man or The Incredible Hulk. Like,
yeah. This was also a time when I feel like they don't really do it anymore, but comic book movies, they kind of just skip all this. They throw you right into the world. Like the X-Men, the first X-Men movie had like the crazy DNA sequence where they were flying through DNA and things were breaking and shattering apart.
They brought that back for Days of Future Past, yeah.
Yeah, which I had noticed. I was like, oh, okay, a little throwback to the original movie. Mm-hmm. Not bad. But then I had realized that, like, I hadn't seen anything like this in a while for opening movies.
It's kind of an overarching thing with movies in general, is that they just kind of cut out, for the most part, the opening credits sequence and just get right into the story. Like, even with stuff like The Departed, it's like a 20-minute stretch until you see like the opening credits for that, and I'm like, that's Martin Scorsese. It's like,
I know, dude. If anyone's gonna do it, awesome. Well, but do you feel like this is a way of bringing us into a comic book world, but doing it in a very like safe way?
Mm-hmm. But at the same time, you're kind of, I was in awe of this, like, and that was me being buzzed off of like, rum and stuff like that, and on a Thursday at midnight or whatever. Yeah. And these designs, they look still pretty. I like this opening still. It's still really stylized and cool. And
you're definitely now in the world, but it's kind of giving you a comic book feel. So it's like, okay, I'm going to watch a comic book movie. This is, I can see what's happening, which I wonder nowadays where if people feel like they don't need to do that anymore, because now the comic book movies kind of stand for themselves. They speak for themselves.
Well, I think someone even mentioned at some point, like comic book movies or superhero movies, they are like the new westerns now. Like,
oh, interesting.
Yeah, like it's a whole genre unto itself. It's not just like science fiction and fantasy action or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I just like it's really cool. And then David Coop was the screenplay writer, and I think he did you do Jurassic Park and Lost World and those types of films?
Yeah, no, I think so.
Yeah, and there's Sam Raimi.
Sam Raimi.
And who am I? Are you sure you want to know? Now,
right into it.
This is a good talking point right here.
Yeah.
What were your thoughts on Tobey Maguire initially and in the role, and then as you saw him in the actual performance?
I remember had like a Pleasantville, and thinking, okay, this guy is a respectable actor. He's got some chops. He's nerdy. He has like the Peter Parker vibe where, he's not necessarily the most best looking guy in the world, or he's not handsome and chiseled, but he's relatable. So I was like, okay, I get that. But I don't know. I mean, having being a Spider-Man fan, I guess I wanted him to be just different looking.
Yeah, and that's the thing too with me. Yeah, I'd known him from Cider House Rules and Pleasantville and things like that, because at that point, he'd done those films. And I'm like, okay, I can kind of see. It's weird because even at that time, I'm like, I could see him as pre-Spider-Man Peter Parker, definitely. Like right now, he's got the doofy glasses, he's got
the parted hair,
he looks skittish and everything like that. And also, given the hyper reality of this movie, where I'm like, yeah, I know we have bullies in the world and stuff like that, but how many, why did a whole bus full of people go out of their way to make this kid miserable?
Poor Peter. I mean, okay, I always kind of saw Peter as being like an outsider, a loner. Like, yeah, he had Flash Thompson picking on him, but like the whole school wasn't against him. Right. I kind of got the impression that he just didn't exist. Like he was a wallflower. Yeah,
he blended into the background. I love this science teacher guy. I thought he was going to
his voice.
Yeah.
I had forgotten his voice. This guy is like a maniac.
How we listen.
Let's go see how we learn, or let's go talk about how we listen. Yeah.
For a while, I'm like, is he gonna be a supervillain in the next movie or something?
I honestly looked up his name to see if he was anybody.
He's an intimidating teacher.
I know, like. If I ever went to like a student teacher night and like this guy was teaching my kids, I would be like, no,
not at all. And here we get the introduction of James Franco as Harry Osborn. Yeah. It's so weird seeing James Franco like clean shaven and youthful now, because
and like not heavy eyes,
or red eyes and things like that. And his dad, Norman Osborn, played by Willem Dafoe, who even when I was watching this movie. This is the most intimidating I find him. Just being a dad is.
I know, but it's so crazy because I see him and I think of Boondock Saints.
Yeah,
I think of like there was a firefight and like this crazy like over the top character.
Yeah,
but for the first like part of this movie, he's like calm and nice and in control. Like he's like, oh Harry, don't forget your backpack. And you're like. He's like, you're going to need this, you big dope. And you're like, who?
And obviously, we'll see him going very big later on in the movie. Yeah. But, like, at this point, like, even just that where he's talking to Peter and he is being sincerely nice, but just a little smirk on his face, I'm like, ew, that's creepy. Like, later on. Does
that kind of represent the essence of Norman Osborn, though? Like, he comes across as being very charming, and you could easily fall into his, like, who he is as being a nice guy. But you look at him and you're just like, this guy is going to eat my face.
And that's kind of the thing I've had with the character overall, even from the comics, is that, like, I do find Norman Osborn out of the suit intimidating.
Yeah.
But as soon as he gets into the suit, with a few, exceptions like the night Gwen Stacy died and things like that, I don't find I don't take the Goblin that seriously.
No, I know. I think maybe it's the psychological aspect of him being... this maniac on one end and like just kind of like this loose cannon. He's kind of, not to say he's a Joker per se, but he has that like, you don't know what he's going to do. Like he's going to break the rules.
Exactly. There was I think there was like a miniseries or a Spider-Man line of stories where he trapped Peter in a closet for like months. And just as Norman Osborn, and was like breaking him down and trying to make him drink the Goblin serum and things like that. And, okay. Now, this is a bit of a different one. It isn't like a demonstration in radiation or anything like that. It's like you're here to check out these specifically genetically designed super spiders.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
There's bullies.
That sounds like a good field trip for some kids, you know.
And there's the werewolf dude from True Blood.
Oh, is it really? Oh, yeah, there he is.
Yeah.
He's so much bigger now too. But look at him. He's like a monster in this.
There's so many people we see here who went on to have like big careers and things like that.
Oh, wait, this guy's voice again. I'm sorry.
The next person who fails this class.
I kid you not.
I kid you not.
And I just got, I know I'm not going to rip on the movie, but I always find it funny when high school students are played by like 30-year-olds.
Yeah, they are pretty clearly very older.
I mean, like this girl's like a head scientist, and she's probably younger than Peter Parker.
That was kind of a thing too with even the new Spider-Man. Like Andrew Garfield when he first got the role, he was in his late 20s, and
I had hoped that when they picked up on Part 2, Amazing Spider-Man 2, that they would have put some time in it. Okay, now he's in college, and some years have passed, but it kind of starts off with them graduating high school still, and I'm like, oh, come on. This is your chance to catch him up in age.
Exactly. Mary Jane Watson.
So we haven't talked about her yet. Her casting, or even the decision to start off with Mary Jane.
Well, yeah, that's the whole deal too. It's like at that time too. That was when Ultimate Spider-Man, I think, had started. So Mary Jane was there from the get-go too. So I kind of feeling it's like, okay, they might take some influence from Ultimate as well. She's involved in the story a lot.
Yeah, and for people who are reading just a regular Spider-Man comic, because Mary Jane at that time was his wife, so people were familiar with her.
Yeah, they'd be more familiar with her than someone like Gwen Stacy or Liz Allen or somebody.
Yeah, because Gwen Stacy, like in our timeline, like what was that, the 70s, the 80s?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's safe to say that people who read Spider-Man now might not even know who Gwen Stacy is.
Exactly, or at least they'd know her for that one story.
Yeah. Oh, she died. Cool.
Oh, okay.
But they don't know that like she was around for a lot of issues, and she was Peter's love.
It was like a Betty and Veronica thing between her and Mary Jane as well.
Yeah.
With
and Mary Jane in the comic books for a point was even saying that like I know you're always gonna love Gwen more than you love me. That's heavy shit.
Yeah. But that's the thing is like when we even got the announcement of Kirsten Dunst, like I'd only known her from like her kids stuff really at that point. Yeah. Like she was in Jumanji, I knew that much.
Yeah. Was Bring It On after this or before this?
Oh yeah, that's right. It was I think that was before this.
Okay. Yeah,
so, the cheerleader movie.
I like that movie.
Oh yeah, it's funny at points and things like that, and I really didn't have much reason to be like, oh, I'm wary of this choice because honestly, it's not so much her because she's game for the material.
Totally.
But this Mary Jane is such a stock girlfriend character, I feel. Even when I was watching it for the first time, I'm like, yeah, she's a sweet girl next door, but that's not who I know Mary Jane as.
No, she's like this like larger than life, like stunning, like you just hit the jackpot, Tiger. Like she's stunning.
And I get there in high school too, but I'm like, even when she was younger, she was very rambunctious and very And
I kind of feel like maybe they were doing an amalgam of Gwen Stacy and Mary Jane, but then also trying to do like the stereotypical love interest kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't think they really captured Mary Jane.
Well, this is very streamlined for kids. You can tell. It's like
totally.
Kids were the target audience of this, and there's our first glimpse of Power Rangers Goblin.
Jeez, could they have picked a creepier guy to test the model?
I know. Let's shave this dude down. Let's get Neo from the Matrix and just shave him the fuck down.
That's awesome.
Now his assistant, I believe, is a character from the comics, right?
Oh, Strom?
Strom, yeah.
Yeah, totally. I think they should have done Smythe, right? I think that would have been...
I would have dug that a little bit more. But the thing is, too, is like they don't really... that's the other thing with kind of these early movies is that they name drop them and then they're kind of gone for the rest of the series.
Yeah. No, in this movie, though, Peter does mention Kirk Connors.
Mm-hmm. And
so that was a cool little like, oh, wow, okay, he exists in this world.
And he does have a callback in the next couple of films.
Yeah, true.
I can't remember, but I think Willem Dafoe was wearing false teeth during this movie. I think.
I think so too, to kind of give him like that, like I think I actually remember hearing that.
Yeah, to give him that,
to kind of give him like a little like just more sinister look or something.
Yeah. And of course, this is where we get the whole like, military's going to pull your funding, buddy.
Well, I guess I got to do what I got to do to prove that the program works.
Yeah.
Let me step into this gamma radiation, device.
Norman Osborn was a scientist working with gamma radiation.
And a good guy, right? A seemingly good guy.
Yeah, at this point, like, he's egocentric and things like that. I mean, eccentric billionaire, but, he's got legitimate concerns, like his company's going under.
Yeah, and even when he does, like, regain his footing in the government contracts, like, he still gets fired from his company. Like, this guy keeps getting pushed.
We are now with Uncle Ben and
here we go.
Aunt May. And honestly, I like Cliff Robertson as Uncle Ben.
Oh, yeah, me too. That was probably the best casting in the movie. I'm sorry to say it, but I feel like, that is Uncle Ben.
And before she gets on her, like, everything needs a tangential story or anecdote to go along with a life lesson. I like Rosemary Harris as Aunt May, but this is before she gets into the, like, you grabbed my arm and said, "Is that an angel?" Like, they're just parents right now.
No, yeah, they are. And I will tell you, one of the scariest scenes in this movie, which for a movie like this shouldn't have a scary scene, like when she's praying and the Green Goblin kind of like explodes in, and he's like, "Finish it," and she's like, "From evil." Well, that's terrifying.
Yeah, she's a great actress.
Yeah,
I can't. And of course, Cliff Robertson no longer with us, but he was a phenomenal actor as well. But
no,
I dig his Uncle Ben more. Not saying Martin Sheen didn't do a good job with the reboot, but you're fully aware that's Martin Sheen, and you're fully aware Aunt May's Sally Field because they're so recognizable in those roles. Yeah,
and his death in this movie, it's traumatizing.
It is.
Because it really does represent the whole idea. Like, the new movies, they did kind of do the whole thing where Peter and him had a fight, and Peter left, like, being a jerk. And, like, he never got to kind of apologize, and they get that. But this movie does it so much better, I think.
Yeah. And here he goes through his withdrawal symptoms.
Yeah. Oh, and then the first like attempt at CGI tone down, making him look less scrawny.
Yeah, we just went over where he was like gangly and stuff.
Yeah, because I've had nights like this, by the way.
At that point, like, Maguire I think he was even telling, he's like, "Oh yeah, I'm getting buff for this."
Yeah, man. Look at that bite. It kind of it plays up the whole jokiness of, like, the original thing where Peter was bit by this radioactive spider. It's like flipping out, but then it's like, all right, I'm just going to sleep it off.
I'm going to have dreams of my DNA sequence being realigned.
Yeah. So is he dreaming this, or is this what's really happening? I don't know.
It's just it's like one of those weird, like, just cutaway type things. It's like, segue to next scene. Let's show the double helix.
We got to show you that things are happening.
Now, we also know that it's like, you can tell so much, especially if you watched Evil Dead movies and his other stuff like The Gift and The Simple Plan, like, you can tell this is a Raimi film.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Like, it's so obvious at these points, These
visceral cuts, especially when you get to this and you see, like, the quick zoom on Norman coming up and things like that. Like, I do like Willem Dafoe is entertaining. Like,
he's great.
He's great in this role, even like when he's trying to be subtle. Like,
yeah, like one of my favorite parts of this movie is about to come up. He drinks this, like, vial, right? But he's like, "Oh yeah, I gotta take it, whatever." But he drinks it and then he just throws it down and breaks it.
Such a theater moment.
Yeah. Mazel tov. It's so great.
Now
like, why would we have done that?
Jekyll's becoming Hyde. Get it?
Yeah, right. Like, could it be more obvious?
And I do like that touch where he's like, "Oh, that's cold."
That's cold, right? That's great. Like, he's the villain. You're scared of him, right? But he's like, "Oh, I'm still fragile. I'm still ticklish."
And he tries to play up that, like, okay, there's still a side of me that's a fragile human being, and there's this evil side corrupting me. He does try with it, but it gets really silly later on. Like, if they kept it kind of more like, we'll get to that part, but if they cut out the second voice, I think I would have liked it a little bit more.
Yeah.
And here we go. He's going to turn into the Hulk.
Yeah. So I will tell you, has anything ever good come from green gas?
No.
I mean, has there ever been a situation where there's been green gas and it's like saved people's lives?
Even in, like, kiddie cartoons, green gas implies someone just ripped a royal one, and you don't want that.
Yeah, it's bad news.
I can't help it. I know this guy's like this guy's actually doing a good job as his assistant as Strom, but he looks like Droopy Dog.
First floor.
Yeah, Norman, no.
Enhanced soldier serums. Ooh.
Now, here's the whole thing. When they started talking about like human, enhancements and super soldier, did you think at one point be like, oh, is that a reference to Captain? Like,
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this was before I kind of knew that all the Marvel properties were broken up so much so that I was like, oh, there's continuity. You can reference Wolverine in this. You can reference Captain America. You could do a Hulk reference, but
exactly, yeah.
But it was that hope, Here
we go, boom, like that, and that was a big orchestra.
That's
hit.
scary. Like the zoom in. That's great.
The zoom in, and you have a big like, what? But then he shows that face, and I just start laughing.
Yeah. Oh, but no, then he does like the jump, like that, in his like little khaki pants.
Yeah. Like when you're up front in the theater, like I was with my friend, and you see that, I jumped out of my chair because I was, still drunk, and I'm like, holy shit!
Oh man, it's going down. It's happening.
You got real. I like this too, the glasses on, glasses off thing.
But again, I love the whole like, oh, well, that's weird.
Okay. And then, of course, now when he gets like. This is kind of weird to be talking about here, but it's like, was Spidey buff enough for you, or too buff, or not buff enough?
The Ultimate books, they had a really good thing where Peter, he was muscular and he was ripped, but like it still wasn't very obvious. And I remember there was an issue where Gwen Stacy kind of sat on his lap, and she's like, "Oh my God, you're a rock!"
Yeah, he's like, "I do Pilates" or something like that.
Yeah, yeah, exactly, right. That's a cute line, though. I'm fine. I'm fine.
Yep, big change. I'm like how he looks there. He's like, yep, it's down to the floor now.
Right? We can agree, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly. He's like, it's down to the floor now, Aunt May.
Oh, man. What a creeper, dude.
I know. And the placement of that window is very...
Yeah.
Wow.
No, that's where she gets ready. That's where
like
her mirror is, where she's staring at herself.
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. This is cool. So,
Uncle Ben's like, holy shit, you almost gave me a heart attack.
He's like, are you trying to kill me?
Power and responsibility, Peter. Don't sneak up on elderly people.
Yeah. I like it. It would have been funny if the whole movie was just like Ben just like constantly like trying to teach him lessons. Like, don't do this, Peter. You don't do that. You don't sneak up on old men.
Hey, Michelangelo.
Yeah, and it's just cute, man. It's like, oh, okay, they like each other. They're buddies.
But then you get the contrast with this dude.
Yeah.
Mary Jane's dad.
In the wife beater.
Now,
so he has a line right here. He's like, who's stopping you? That is one of my favorite unappreciated lines in cinema.
Really?
I don't know why. Like, whenever people tell me to do something, they're like, hey, I'm going to go do this. I'm like, who's stopping you? It's in my head. I love it so much.
Well, it does kind of hammer home the whole broken house thing.
Yeah.
But
yeah, and Peter just saw her getting verbally abused, and he's like, well, I guess now's a good time to ask her out.
And here's where it does work is like, I like the way Kirsten Dunst is able to turn it on a dime. Like in later conversations, she's able to like go to like bubbly, like, oh my gosh, it's great. And then, when she gets quieter, you see her sadder moments.
Yeah, like the tormented soul. She's really good at like hiding what's really going on in her life.
And I do think they have good chemistry in this movie. It's just that, with regards to some of the dialogue they have together.
Yeah, I know.
Like, okay.
I feel like they only gave Raimi like the first 100 issues of Spider-Man. Like they didn't give him anything from like the 80s or 90s to reference. Because a lot of the stuff is kind of like old-timey talk.
Yeah, it very much is.
Yeah. Golly gee willikers, I have spider powers. Like, really? Come on.
Oh my gosh.
It's 2003
how many
or 2002.
times have we seen this building?
Yeah.
And here's James Franco. I think he's still doing like a James Dean thing. Dad, what you doing on the floor?
Oh. What do you mean? So this is cool. I mean, like, it really does represent, like, look how fragile he is on the ground,
And before you see, like, spazzing out face.
Yeah. Well, it was very nice of his goblin persona to put his tie back on, I think.
Yeah. Well, at least he's looking out for him hygienically.
Yeah. Ooh.
Oh, this goddamn butler.
Mr. Osborn.
Mr. Deus Ex Machina throughout the movie.
Yeah.
Little do you know how much this goddamn butler will play such a big role later on.
In the third movie, yeah. I saw his wounds. They were goblin wounds.
I cleaned his wounds.
Yeah, no, he is pivotal in making James Franco or Harry, like, become a good guy. Like, he redeems him in a weird way.
No, I do like this
so
stuff.
now the introduction of the organic web shooters.
And spider sense too. Like,
Yeah.
There we
go.
Quick. Like I like the way, like, the whole discovering his abilities thing is working really well. Like this first, I want to say this first hour where it is just the origin is solid. Like I will
say they got it better than the new movies, because I mean there's a scene in the first Amazing Spider-Man where he catches a football and he throws it and he like bends a football.
How do you not know who this guy is? Yeah.
Oh, that guy's Spider-Man.
You want to play for our team?
Yeah. Where a lot of this so far is kind of, I mean, okay, the fight scene that's coming up does go a little bit over the top.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so it's like questionable.
But also at this point in that movie, when he did the football thing, Spider-Man has been established as a figure in the world.
True.
Here, he's not even considering. He's still discovering stuff. So they're just like, what the hell?
Yeah, like what a weirdo.
He's got that white stuff coming out of his wrists, man.
Oh, so look at that. I mean, that's kind of crazy. Someone would have had to have noticed that.
Yeah, especially
a table full of grown adults.
Yeah, all these 30 and 40-year-old high school students.
Yeah, I mean, look at them. They're all oh man.
Michael Cera's in there somewhere being like, hey,
yeah, right. These are all people with like savings accounts
Park.
and like mortgages.
He's gonna turn into a werewolf and have at it.
Yeah, dude. But you know what though? I mean, does this kind of work if you establish Peter as being a wallflower? Like no one ever notices anything he does.
Yeah, they just go through life and he's just kind of there.
Yes, but he could walk down the hallway with like web attached to his hand and people would forget it a minute later.
Yeah. Like I like this version of Spider Sense too. Like,
this is great. Like just complete like awareness of what's happening all around him.
And I'm glad they left it in for the reboot too. Like that scene in Amazing Spider-Man 2 where he's saving everyone in Times Square. Like
but they never really reference his spider sense in the movies.
No,
in the
it's
new
just
movies.
kind of there. Yeah.
It's like he kind of is like aware of something, but they never like put a lot of emphasis on it.
Not saying he'd ever do this, you know, if he were a real life character. It's like he never says spider sense tingling.
Yeah, no. Although with the dialogue in this movie, I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, like he should have at that point. He calls Goblin Gobby. I'm surprised he didn't go for a spider sense tingling.
That's funny. I'm moving really fast now.
Yeah, and everyone now everyone's paying attention to him.
Yeah.
You mentioned web shooter before. Were you a fan of organic? Because I know everyone was like, "Oh man, not mechanical." Oh man.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of dig it in the streamlining of the movie sense, and I mean, I don't know. I kind of feel like it would work. It worked in the comic book for a little bit, but they quickly retconned that.
Yeah, well, I think they did it in response to these movies too.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it didn't really bother me.
Yeah, I thought it was okay. Like, it'd be kind of stretching the reality of this movie already. Like, I mean, they made it work in the reboot, obviously, but like,
yeah, no, totally. It is a little far fetched to think that like Peter Parker is this brilliant that he's able to create the web shooters, but then also create the web fluid. I mean, like in the new movies, he didn't at least make the web fluid; he made just the apparatus. You know.
Oh, I wonder what part of New York that. Oh, this is Queens. Yeah, so
Queens. Yeah,
that's right. There are times where I'm kind of like, you know, because I lived in New York for a while. I'm kind of like, oh, that part where they say it isn't exactly what I remember it looking like.
That's not New York.
Oh, symbolism, spider.
I get it. Oh yeah, you know, I mean, I grew up like out in New York. Like I never saw this many spiders in New York City. But whatever.
I never saw that much barbed wire too in Queens.
Well, New York is grizzled, man. So I like this. This is cool.
Yeah, this is pre gentrification.
No, I also like though like the tendrils coming out of his fingers.
Yeah, and like they never actually established that in the comics either.
No, they don't. They kind of show that he's able to stick, but they never show why he's able to stick.
Yeah, I like that too.
Yeah, I mean, he's also able to like kind of maintain a perfect level of equilibrium in his body. So he wouldn't need to be like his feet wouldn't need to be attached to the ceiling. You know, It would just need to be his fingers.
He's relying mostly on his hands to climb.
Yeah.
Are you ready for the best CGI ever?
Oh man.
And okay, we'll cut some slack. Yeah, this is still kind of in the.
It's still early
CGI days.
It's good though. It's not bad. The body is a little weird looking, but it's not terrible looking.
It's a little Thunderbirds puppety, but
yeah.
But that's the thing too, is like with special effects, if you weren't Industrial Light and Magic at the time, you were still kind of figuring. Nowadays, like, you know, there's a lot of great CGI studios out there, but at the time, I think Industrial Light and Magic were the heavy hitters, and I don't think this was theirs. I think it was
somebody else, but it's still good.
Fly.
Yeah, fly web. Go Web.
I do like some like. Here's where you get some of that quirky comedy.
Yeah.
Go Web, go.
But again, he's talking like a 1950s kid.
Yeah. Yeah. In fact, yeah.
It's interesting.
Gee Willigers, what is this?
See, that's cool. I like that. The web's
the
fly.
one thing about organic web shooters I've always wondered. I'm like, does it hurt when that happens?
Yeah, does it hurt? Does he run out? I mean, it can't be like unlimited. If it's coming from inside your body, it can't be unlimited.
Yeah. Well, it's like how much of your blood supply is being translated?
Yeah, and then at least have a scene where he's like scarfing down food because he's so hungry because
burn a lot of calories. Yeah.
Yeah, like, and he's exerted a lot of his body fluids from the webs.
Well, they do say, or they do hint, in later movies like the second one, which we'll touch upon, I'm sure, at some point down the line, that it's stress induced.
Oh yeah, like he couldn't. Yeah, it will totally. I mean, we all have body dysfunctions.
At the time, I remember everyone in the theater being like, "Ew," and I'm like,
really?
"Yeah, it's like Wolverine." I'm like, "Does he feel that when he pops that out?"
Oh, he does though. He says that in the first movie.
Oh yeah, he does. But it's just like every time.
Every time.
But I was
so
about the Spider-Man.
Basically, he's been Spider-Man one day and he's already disappointing his family.
Peter Parker is the ultimate letdown for anybody.
Oh man, he's such a bummer.
But that's the kind of thing is that and it's something that I get why they do it in these movies, because he's looking back now, especially given all the movies that we've been handed in between 2002 and present day, is that he's kept pretty simple in these films.
Yes,
simple.
But it gives you a little bit of the burden that his powers have on him.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, God, Peter, the responsibility, he's chained to it. Like he lets his whole life fall apart around him because of his responsibility to his powers.
Mm-hmm.
And he's not even Spider-Man yet. Like this is him just being distracted with the ability of doing the things that he can do.
Oof. Here we go. You want to talk about something besides what they're talking about?
Yeah.
Here's what I mean. It's like there are moments where they really do work well together. I mean, you invest like, oh, this guy's a total sweetheart. You can tell that he's devoted to her. Even though she's not fully appreciative of it, but you get that she could come around to a guy like this. Yeah. But some of this dialogue is.
I know. I mean, she stood up for him on the bus, like stop the bus. But then as soon as he got on the bus, she like ignored him.
Yeah. Well, no, I'm talking more about just. Like they have that scene going. It's just like you're taller than you look, like, or something.
I hunch.
I'm like, oh, what a doofus. And I don't know. That is when I first heard it, I'm like, that's a good line. That is a kind of funny line. But then I don't know. Over the years, I'm kind of like, as I've won, I guess I don't know if it's taste growing or if it's just like I want my Spider-Man to be a little bit more savvy than that.
Yeah, right. Totally.
He still is lovable loser, I guess. That's the excuse I need to fall back on. It's like he's still lovable. Like I'm almost of the thought that Spider-Man being Spider-Man brings out the confidence in Peter Parker a little bit more.
Yeah.
So he's able
they're showing that he's talking to her. I mean, he's lived next door to her for how many years, and it's probably the first conversation they've ever had.
Mm-hmm. This is, but I guess this is the slow development of that.
Yeah,
I guess when I'm on the other two films at this point, it irks me a little bit. He's still kind of a doof and
because I mean, like I always got the impression that Peter Parker was like a cool, swabby guy, but he didn't care about that kind of stuff.
He grows up into it, I guess.
Yeah, kind of. I mean, like how many supermodels has he like been with?
A lot,
a lot. But you could say it's because he's a good guy, but he's also like he knows how to handle a social situation.
Mm-hmm. Well, when you're having cars and electric bolts chucked at you all the time.
Yeah, I think a dinner party is easy, considering that people are constantly trying to murder you.
And I'll give this the benefit of the doubt. This is starting out. He's not even a hero yet, so it's like I fully buy this stuff. But some of this dialogue, I'm just like, ugh.
I know it's cringeworthy.
Did you know anyone in high school who talked like that? Besides drama students,
the kid who talked like that was a kid who brought a briefcase to school every day. Like a little like briefcase with like all his homework, and like, dude, what's wrong with you?
Oh, he's taking AP. Better believe Peter's an advanced placement.
Yeah. Hey, isn't the guy that beat me up today at school?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look at him. Nice car, buddy. You dick.
I do like the line though where he's like, "Hey, don't scratch the leather."
Like, shut up, you idiots! Like, yeah, in the theater, like, what an idiot! Why'd she like him? I'm like, well, that's because it's safe.
That's life, right?
It's a safe and secure choice. That's why.
Yeah. Here we go. A classic Raimi montage
sequence. Yeah.
I think there's gonna be a floating Mary Jane head in a second.
Yeah.
It's so bad.
What the placement of that ad is very convenient too.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Oh, here we go.
Wait a minute.
And then the car that just speeds toward the screen.
Yeah.
Now, I did like that they got. This was a cool idea at the time too. I mean, they've done it a lot in other comic book movies and Marvel movies since, but getting the artists to. I don't think we'd actually seen something like that since 1989 Batman, when Bob Kane did that sketch for the first movie or whatever. Yeah. He was like, "Have you seen this man? And it's a bat in a suit."
Yeah.
But I like this. I do like the idea of him like coming together with his costume ideas.
Yeah.
And going back to Mary Jane in the window for some reason.
Yeah.
Weird.
Creepy.
Are you ready for the best soda product placement ever?
Oh, right, totally.
Like, I do this series of reviews on the site, Mike's Movies and Music and things like that, where I want to do an episode like the worst product placement in movies, and the Dr. Pepper thing is up there.
Yeah. Oh, there it is.
Yeah.
Just slightly askew, though.
Yeah, just so it's not the focus.
Yeah.
It's not like a Man of Steel IHOP, but...
Oh, Jesus, or Sears, or...
I love this interaction.
I'm not dressed, Aunt May.
Okay, great.
I'm exercising.
Now that, like, there's those dialogues where it's like, that is typical teenager. It's like, okay, great, see you later. Thanks, Mom.
Okay, cool, I get it. I know I'm being weird, but go away.
Wow, look at that font on that newspaper.
So I could tell you right now that I couldn't name one industrial company that has a contract with the government. Like one. And like you're telling me like newspapers are like that's like the front page.
You think it'd be something they wouldn't want to advertise.
Yeah, right.
Or at least not like military, contracts, like heavy military contracts.
No, let's talk about this thing that nobody really cares about. As our front page.
Yeah, page 6. We got the DUIs of celebrities. There we go.
There, yeah, right, yeah. All right.
So here we are with Peter and Uncle Ben in the Sam Raimi car.
The classic Raimi car.
I know.
Yeah.
We're the Deadites, Pete.
So he's saying that he actually had this car on set for Quick and the Dead. It was like in a barn somewhere.
Yeah, like well hidden, obviously.
Yeah. That would have been a little weird.
I would have thought like Doc Brown would travel back in time, not in the DeLorean, but
no, in this classic Raimi car.
And honestly, I like this speech between Uncle Ben and Peter more than in the reboot.
No, absolutely.
It's a little bit more heartfelt. And I understand with the reboot, they didn't want to hammer in power and responsibility so much. But I feel, obviously, for this first outing, it's got to be...
It's got to be out there because it's the soul of Peter Parker. It's what makes him become Spider-Man. Like you see later on, he's like, I want to give up. But then he sees his powers and he sees like, I got to do this.
Mm-hmm. And I do like Tobey Maguire's reaction to it, like the whole "stop pretending to be my dad." Like,
no, I know. I mean, and kids are horrible, man. I've said some horrible things to my parents when I was a kid because it's like I don't know. You don't know. You're trying to come to your own, figure yourself out. Like Peter, he's like he has this big thing happening right now that is taking over his life, and he's like, "Come on, just back up off me."
And he immediately regrets it too.
Yeah, no,
like,
he's
not even because he's not
heartbroken.
He's not even guilt ridden with the death yet. But even then, it's like he's like, "Oh, I shouldn't have said that."
No, I mean, and as a kid, I've said things where as soon as I said it, I was like, "Oof," and shouldn't have said that. But you have to like hold your ground,
Yeah. And Cliff Robertson just wounded,
heartbroken, destroyed.
Like I love that old man. Like,
yeah.
Like in the theater, I think at some point a girl's like, "Oh, you dick!" Like some girls.
Yeah, dude, and that's totally. I mean, but like, who hasn't done stuff like that?
Yeah, and that's all. It is very relatable. And here we go for the glory of Bonesaw McGraw.
Bonesaw is ready.
Oh, man. God rest in peace.
Oh,
Randy
God.
Savage.
Man.
When I'd heard that he was going to play the wrestler for this, I'm like, that is perfect.
Perfect.
Like, it would be too distracting if it was like a Hulk Hogan or whoever.
Yeah, no, but over the top, but not too distracting.
You take Macho Man out of his traditional costume, and it's just like, yeah, I can buy him as the Crusher Hogan type character. And there's Mr. Campbell.
You got to give Raimi credit for really building up like this character. You know, this whole situation. It's great.
He's got to give the shout-outs to his buddies, of course.
Bruce Campbell. I like, though, that Bruce Campbell had to have at least some important, moment in the movie. Like, he's responsible for naming Spider-Man. Mm-hmm. You know? It's like, all right.
And
all right, Bruce.
In the next two movies, he's responsible for royally messing up Peter's love life.
Yeah, but he gets downgraded in his, like, stature in life. You know, now he's, like,
was there a rumor that he was going to be Mysterio eventually?
Oh, I actually remember that. Yeah, because that would make sense. Like, he's constantly circling around Peter and being, like, I guess, affected by him.
Yeah, like I'd heard that, like, eventually, like, that's what he wanted to be, at least.
Yeah,
like, he wanted to be.
He's a performer. He's, you know.
There we go. Told you, winner. And Sam Raimi himself gets a little cameo in here eventually.
Oh, does he? I don't think I noticed it.
When the cage match comes up and he's the guy who yells "Cage!"
Oh, really? Oh, that's great. Wait, no, is he?
I think so. I think that is him.
Oh, all right, let's see. Because I remember that, but I remember being just some like that one of those actors who you always see, but you never know who they are. Mm-hmm. Though they're the classic Peter Parker silhouette.
Yep, that's right. I like the fact that he names him. Yeah.
Yeah.
Human spider. That sucks.
Yeah.
The ash spider. The ashy spider.
Yeah. The groovy spider. But that's cool because now Bruce Campbell can walk around and say that he's responsible for naming Spider-Man.
Yeah. And for a guy who's been delegated to be like background in these movies and things like that, he really like gets around in the film and the other property. Like, he's in a couple of the video games, I think. Like,
oh, is he really?
He loves the franchise, I guess. And even though like he always is just playing like supporting character.
That's great.
I love these girls just
berating him.
8 of your feeble legs off one by one. And this dude foreshadowing.
Oh, my legs. Oh.
It's moments like that where I'm like, Raimi loves cruelty.
Yeah. I don't think this would be legal.
Yeah.
File under D for
like
dead.
They would have asked for a license or something. There he is, Cage. I think that's it. That was him.
No, I don't know. I don't think so.
No?
I think that's one of those actors that you see everywhere.
Oh, okay. I do like the shout out to the Thing. This is before we couldn't mention any other characters and things like that.
Yeah.
Due to the licensing. But
man. God, I still want a Spider-Man like appearance in some other movie.
That would be nice, yeah. Or just even a reference. Just be like, oh, that kid who sticks to walls in Queens.
Yeah, you're like, wow, that's great. Totally. Like, the world's getting weirder.
Yep. 3 minutes of playtime. That sounds unbelievably nasty
and creepy.
And here's where we get a pinch of Spider-Man being a jackass to people.
Yeah, exactly. Like, oh, did your husband get it for you? Like, oh.
I like that. It was something that I felt was kind of missing later on in this movie. Like, he goes into stereotypical Saturday morning superhero stuff, which is cool, I guess, if you're appealing to kids. Yeah. But I'm like, this was a hint that like Spider-Man can be cutting to the bone with an insult or something.
Yeah, I mean, like, so the new movies, Spider-Man is like talking the entire time he's fighting.
Yeah, and
you get frustrated by it. Mm-hmm. But like, you're supposed to be frustrated by it.
That's the whole. He's trying to throw you off with that.
Yeah, I know it works because like someone's taking like a villain is taking this thing very seriously, and he's joking around about every little aspect of it. Mm-hmm. That's upsetting, you know. But yeah, it's right. You're supposed to be like that, so it's great. This one, he doesn't really do that as much.
Nah, he's just kind of in stereotypical like superhero mode.
Yeah,
but I like there was something they did in the Ultimate Spider-Man where they had his inner monologue, and I think it's the first time he's fought the Goblin in the Ultimate line, and he's like mouthing off at the Goblin, but he's like, "Why won't I shut up? Why can't I stop talking?" I guess it's either that or I piss myself. I'm like,
that's great. Well, it's true, right?
Like
he's like, this is terrifying.
I gotta talk to combat the nervousness I'm feeling right now.
Yeah, because I could die in any second.
Stereotypical New York. I mentioned this in another one of my videos. Like, I know that there are New Yorkers who are very much forget about whatever, get out of here, kid. I'm like, I hate it when they're played to the extremes in movies, though.
No, it's hard. I mean, yeah, I grew up in Brooklyn, so I mean, like, I know, but yeah, you're lucky to get that.
The biggest assholes in these movies are always the stereotypical. Like, get out of my cabin.
Don't give me no lip, kid.
Now, my first thought is, now I know this isn't a very heroic thing to do. My first thought is Peter and that thing. I'd quickly like web shoot the rest of the money into my pocket.
Right?
Leave.
I mean, just get what he's owed.
This dude. I will say I do like this burglar, or not burglar, I guess.
Yeah.
Criminal. But I mean, he is an actual character in this movie.
Yeah.
Than he is in the reboot where he just shows up and comes and goes.
Another New York cop. Oh, here we go. Yeah.
You could have taken that guy apart.
I love the look he gives him because it's like, I hate you, but I respect you.
You got moxie, kid.
Right.
You ever considered pictures?
Oh, that's great.
And like he sells that whole like, yeah, that just happened. Mic drop.
Here we go.
But then it all comes crashing down.
Yeah.
And instantly, as soon as you see the cop cars, like I knew instantly like what this is about. I'm like, oh, this isn't breaking into the house, but it's.
Oh, this makes more sense.
It makes more. Yeah. Out of all the houses in Queens, like how did this same criminal break into this house?
I know. No, it would make sense that he would see a guy in a car nearby, and he would try to he would take the car because he needs a getaway vehicle.
And this is before Spider-Man 3's retcon of everything, which we'll talk about at a later time. But I did, I remember getting a little misty-eyed at this.
Yeah, it's like his death is so traumatic. It's not heroic. It's not noble. He's sad.
He's scared, and the only thing that's giving him comfort is, oh God, I'm getting a little misty-eyed just talking about it now.
Yeah, and then Peter gets to see like him, experience the utter fear of eternal nothingness.
Yeah, look into the soul, Peter.
Yeah, and like look at him. He's like,
no, like I like. Well, it's beautiful. Like that. Like Martin Sheen didn't get that in the reboot.
No,
like he gets one last moment of being like, my son is here.
Yeah, but then also like, I am terrified. Like Uncle Ben is like his hero, right? It's who he bases his like whole like responsibility, his like everything on, and to see him so fragile and weak.
That being said, Tobey Maguire's cry face gets progressively more disturbing throughout the movies.
Yeah.
By the time Harry kicks it in the third one, spoiler, sorry.
Yeah.
He's like, Harry,
wait, what?
Harry.
Oh, look at this.
Yeah, this is a cool run and shot.
Yeah, and then the unnecessary turn to the left. Yeah, I don't know what that's all about. So, this scene got leaked online when the movie was coming out. Like this part right here.
Yeah, the whole.
And I remember being like, "Oh, this is great! Look at that."
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, seeing it now, I'm like, well, it's not that great.
Now that you've had, again, through the looking glass of like 12 years or so, it's like
I've been ruined.
Yeah, I liked it though. I like this.
Yeah, no, it's great. And then when he lands on top of a building, that's a spider. Look at that. Is there anything more Spider-Man than that? Like that classic pose, just looking down. This is his
first time trying to successfully web swing. He had a shot at it before, but didn't really practice much since.
Yeah, but now it's all instincts.
This is his whole okay.
Here we go.
Okay.
I will say though, I think there's a scene like coming up where he goes like, "Woo!" like he's loving it. Mm-hmm. And like, dude, your uncle just died.
And like, it's not like as later on when he is Spider-Man. Like,
yeah, no, I mean, like right now is really more just like getting the job done, not so much enjoying yourself.
Yeah, all my problems are melting away with each swing.
I'm king of the world.
Oh yeah, my uncle.
And he still has his uncle's blood on his hands, literally.
Like, would you please take this a little bit more seriously, Peter? Come
on, man. This guy just murdered your family.
Yeah, here we go. Yeah, I think that was where he went, whoa!
But look at like his movements and like the way he's like kind of flying back and forth, and
he's not
that's
perfected
great.
It. He hasn't perfected it yet. Like he's still practicing. Yeah.
But the physics of it look great. Mm-hmm. I dare say even better than I think the new movies. Like the way that his body weight is kind of shifting when he's webbing. Mm-hmm. It's great. It's beautiful looking.
This is like, yeah, you gotta be on full spider sense for this thing coming up in the bridge.
Boy.
Hey, I can see my house from here. Now, I think when the first full trailer for this movie showed, I think they hadn't even put the CGI Spider-Man in his pre-Spider-Man clothes, so it was all like traditional Spider-Man uniform.
Oh, the entire time?
I remember, I remember being like, so I'm like, oh, that's kind of cool. It's like he's going to be chasing down muggers, and it's just one time release.
No, yeah, totally.
Now, I do like this face-off, because it is an actual face-off in the new stuff.
Yeah.
Which I guess is a little bit more real-world based, like the criminal sometimes gets away. And it's just like, in this one, though, he gets justice.
He gets, accidental justice, but it's justice.
Who's there?
It makes me wonder if I want to shoot the shadow. Like, when has that ever worked?
That is a cool pose, though, with the hanging upside down.
Yeah, great Spider-Man.
I will, with regards to the action here.
Oof.
There are times in this movie where the action does feel like you're kind of just watching like a stage show, but then when they go for gut-wrenching stuff like this, I'm like, ouch. Like when he slammed him through those glass panes and things like that, I'm like,
yeah, it's emotional.
Ow. And I like Toby.
Yeah, but I mean, like, this is like a defining moment for him. You know, like Peter Parker could easily go down this path of being a vengeance, and just being brutal.
Here's where it all comes crashing back on him.
Yeah, buddy, you messed up.
Thanks.
Oh, like, and they changed his face a little bit, right? To be like more emotional, like.
Now this is just a pure filmmaking standpoint. These cuts, I'm like, you couldn't, like, there are times where he has a cowlick and where he doesn't.
Oh,
and I'm just
bad
like,
at him.
It's just a little nitpick on my part. I'm just like,
okay.
I'm like, I know it's hair's unwieldy, but
a little.
Now I can't remember. The burglar didn't die in the original. No, he didn't.
No,
he died
did he ever
on.
catch him, or was it like a Batman scenario where like he never?
In the comics, he caught him. But I can't remember if the burglar ever just passed away eventually or not.
Or if he's still around.
In this one, he full on just dies.
Yeah, he's dead.
Yeah.
Good thing every cop in New York is going after this,
this one
carjacker. Yeah.
Well, there was a dude in red and blue flying around. You can't.
That's true too.
I can't remember. I don't know if because obviously there was a lot of stuff that had to be re-edited following 9/11. I think. I'm one of the people who think I think that teaser trailer was a scene in the movie. The bank.
I think so too. Yeah. Well, I mean, there's a montage coming up of him like just capturing crooks.
Yeah.
Where that could have been from there.
Well, that could have been his like debut in the costume and everything like that. Yeah. And I'm just trying, but there's a lot of I think that scene where he was overlooking the city at night crying.
Probably, yeah.
I think they took the towers out of there, and I do like Aunt May's reaction to the death.
Well, it's crazy because in the comic book he came back and she was there with the cops and everything. Like this is like he had to tell her.
He had to tell
Uncle
her.
Ben?
Yeah, that's heart right
Oof, Jesus.
And ladies and gentlemen, with the second hour of this movie almost upon us, we're about to embark on the
villain
brilliance of the Green Goblin.
There it is. Yes, I mean, like any military general would see the obvious difference between the two technologies. Like, look at that thing.
That is the stiffest. That's something out of Matrix Revolution.
Yeah, it's horrible.
It's one of those walker things.
He would have saw that and been like, yeah, dude, I think
I'll
Osborn's
stick with Osborn
on the right path.
I don't like him, but his stuff looks a little bit sleeker.
Yeah.
He's got a shaved dude.
Yeah.
In a green suit.
Oh, and then the great scream. Oh, that's a good cutaway.
I love those transitions at times.
Yeah.
It took them 40 years to get to this point, but they're finally graduating high school.
Oh, Peter, I'm so proud of you. And just a shy before your 30th birthday.
Now I'm...
Oh, Norman.
He can't even tell his son, like, great job without being like, oh, I never thought I'd see the day.
Well, as I live and breathe, you graduated high school.
Don't try to disappoint me too much in the following semester.
Now, excuse me while I massage Peter's ego for 20 minutes in front of you.
But then, like, I do like how the transition from relationship to relationship with Mary Jane with her. It's like you don't need to see Harry courting her.
No, totally. You don't. Yeah.
You buy totally. It's like, okay, he's gonna be there for her. since Peter's not going to be there for him, or his dad's not going to be there for him.
Yeah.
And that's the last we see of True Blood Wolf.
Whatever.
I think he shows up at Harry's funeral in the third one for like 2 seconds.
Oh, does he? That's great.
Yeah. But,
huh.
Yeah.
I mean, all you needed was Norman to tell Peter that you're the son I should have had. Like right in front of Harry.
You're like a brother to him. A more favored brother, but a brother.
You're more like a son. An only son.
Now, in the theater, I did like, when I first saw this, and believe me, I went back and saw this movie a couple of times or a dozen that year.
Yeah, me too.
In theater. But this scene didn't bother me so much then.
Huh.
But now I'm kind of like, schmaltzy.
You know, it's funny because when I rewatched it recently, I actually really liked this scene. I was like, this is like the defining moment of like him, because he probably hasn't been Spider-Man at all since Uncle Ben's death, right? And it's probably been like what, like maybe like 4 or 5 months? Probably around that time. Yeah. Some time has passed, but like he's pretty much just given up, you know? Mm-hmm. Like he's not being Spider-Man, he's not being Peter Parker, and he's just so guilt-ridden. Mm-hmm. But then she says to him, which I think is actually really good advice, that like the last moments of his death were probably horrible. Mm-hmm. You probably fought, he probably said some bad things, but he loved you. Oh, and you loved him.
Yeah.
So like you can't base the whole experience on that one moment.
Yeah,
because overall you two, you respected one another, you loved one another.
Yeah,
and that's great. I mean, that's like some
in retrospect,
real world shit.
Yeah, this is something that a family would talk about. I guess I'm also viewing it obviously through the lens of many years too, where I'm sure it's been lampooned dozens of times in other movies I've seen. This whole similar talk, like you'll never disappoint him and things like that. I'm kind of like, maybe that's what it is. I'm kind of jaded now because I'm like, every other superhero movie has to have this speech now.
Yeah, no, totally.
At the time, it worked for me. Just right now, I'm kind of like, oh, okay, that's a nice.
I think it works for the essence of Peter. Yeah. Like, he's still going to be guilt-ridden by the fact that he's responsible for his death. But I think knowing that Ben loved him and that, like, that everything was okay is enough for him to, like, at least get up off the bed. Yeah. But he's still not going to... He'll never be like, okay, well, I've redeemed myself.
He's never going to be okay with it.
Yeah. No.
Peter Parker is there's a big amount of guilt in there, even though he's very optimistic.
Yeah. And happy-go-lucky.
Yeah. Now, were you one of those people who questioned how he made such a complex suit on his own?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, you stretch the imagination a little bit with comic book movies, but I'm like, this kid...
The detail.
This kid, he needed $3,000 to get a really shitty car.
Yeah, because he had no money.
He had no money.
Well, maybe he took that $100 that he won from the wrestling match and parlayed it into a small fortune.
Oh, good for him. Not towards the rent or anything.
So I love this because these are totally comic book
bank
burglars. Like super hot. She's wearing like a midriff.
She's wearing like the midriff cut off.
Yeah.
There was some... You get a couple of like people I didn't even recognize at the time, but I totally know now. Yeah. Jimmy Norton.
Jimmy Norton?
Showing up.
Yeah.
He's like, I stinks and I don't like him. That guy.
Yeah. And then you get Lucy Lawless.
Lucy Lawless is the punk girl. Yeah.
Which I was actually in New York by the museum when they were filming that scene.
Oh yeah.
I remember them like filming a Spider-Man scene, and I saw her and the other girl like up there hanging out. But I was on a field trip for college or something, and they were like, "We gotta get out of here." And I'm like, "Do you know how important this is for me?" Like the thing that I'm seeing right now. This is like,
first off, it's Xena. Second off, it's Xena in a Spider-Man movie.
Screw the Spider-Man guy. It's the Warrior Princess.
Now
here we go.
We missed. Oh, here we go. Without a doubt, one of my favorite characters.
The best casting ever.
This is.
Look at him.
Like, there's a part of me, I'm like, I want him to come back for the reboots. I know it'll be totally out of place.
I thought that. Like, have him be J. Jonah again? Like, I'd be okay with that.
And sure, like, those of us who are content, like, well, what's he doing? It's totally, I'm like, he's universally J. Jonah.
Hey, if we can have Johnny Storm as Captain America, we can have J. Jonah Jameson Spider-Man. It could be like multiple dimension Spider-Mans, but J. Jonah is the only constant.
He's holding the Nexus together.
Yeah, that's awesome. Elizabeth Banks.
Yeah, before she made it big too.
Yeah, probably one of the only actresses that are like still out there making some big movies.
Her and Toby finally did get to do a whatchamacallit, like a romantic movie together, because they flirt every once in a while in these movies, but Betty Brant's never played up as a love of Peter in here.
No, totally.
They finally got to do like some kind of romantic comedy or dark comedy together, I think.
Oh, interesting.
Where they played
Eddie Brock reference, the one to let that get by.
Oh yeah, Eddie's been on it for weeks.
Yeah,
I remember.
Wait, what movie were Elizabeth Bank and
I can't remember what it's called, but they played like a married couple whose sex life was on the fritz or something like that. So
because her husband kept sneaking away and fighting crime.
Yeah, pretty much. And I think he killed the neighborhood dog or something.
Oh, what happens? Yeah.
Now, of all the places,
look how pale she is.
Yeah.
That shouldn't bother me. I shouldn't really worry about that, but I can't shake it.
You're on the West Coast, so it's like
yeah. But I'm an Irish East Coaster. I get it. Oof.
Yeah, and I get that this is kind of plain. Like, she's putting up the facade. She's putting up like, yeah, I'm doing great. And is trying to put up this false face for everybody. But
that brings up an interesting thing. Okay, so Gwen Stacy, like Peter, he was a nerd, and then he became a hero, and he was able to get Gwen Stacy, or like be able to court her, right?
Yeah.
Mary Jane never really saw him as a nerd. She always saw him as like just some guy. Mm-hmm. She fell in love with Peter, who he really was, not who he was in the context of school.
Right.
So I don't know. So I kind of feel like it's weird with this version of Mary Jane, where he's constantly having to prove that he's not like that dorky guy she once knew.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they kind of in the comics, I know they retcon that so that from day one she knew he was Spider-Man. Like she saw him sneak out of the house one night.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
But I mean, that was before all the development with her character throughout the years and everything like that. But
or before the devil, Peter Peter made a deal with the devil to make sure that none of that ever happened.
I just thought of this yesterday while I was rewatching. I'm like, it'd be nice to have a special edition of this Spider-Man where you see Mephisto just standing in the background.
Oh, that's funny.
He's doing
don't use this.
He's like, yes. You
think things are good?
Feed off each other's love. It makes me strong.
Yes.
For those of you non-comic book nerds out there, Spider-Man sold his marriage to the devil.
Yeah, pretty much.
Long story short.
To save his Aunt May.
To save his dying Aunt May, who's been dying for 50 years.
I mean, she is a mutant.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure. I bet if Peter let her die, she'd be reborn as some kind of weird phoenix aunt,
Now, as soon as I moved to New York, I was like, I would love to have an apartment like this.
Oh my God.
Man, were my illusions shattered.
Yeah. Oh wait, I can live in a closet. Okay. So, but here's the thing: is Norman paying their rent?
I think that was implied because he's making his weekly inspection.
Yeah, to make sure. Okay, yeah. If I'm going to pay for your rent, I have to make sure that everything's on the up and up.
You better be keeping it steady here, son.
Yeah.
I will argue, in retrospect, the performances are fine, obviously, and things like that.
Yeah. Dr. Connors.
I take some issues with some of them here and there, or just the character. I argue that James Franco has consistently keeps me invested in his scenes.
No, totally. He's just my stupid dad. I just want a little bit of love.
Was there a point where he was being considered for Spider-Man?
Oh, was he? You know what? I would have been okay with him being Spider-Man.
Yeah, I would have liked him as Spider-Man too, because I mean, he's not There was a point, I remember when they were first, and this is where we can get to the history a little bit, they were talking about doing Spider-Man back in the mid-'90s with a smaller company and things like that, and I believe James Cameron was attached to it.
I remember that, yeah.
Written up and everything. And it was, I think, in tone similar to what they do now with The Amazing Spider-Man. But I think one of the names being tossed around for Spider-Man was Leo DiCaprio.
Yeah, I remember that. That was do you remember when Wizard Magazine used to have those
Oh yes, I remember that, dude.
And I think that was one of the Leo DiCaprio as Spider-Man. I think it was our perfect casting call. The casting call they used to call it.
They did a mock-up in one of the issues of a fake Spider-Man poster which had Leo DiCaprio with kind of the side Spider-Man profile thing on.
And I was like, yes.
And then they had Katie Cox as Mary Jane.
Oh man, where did she go?
Or was it Katie Cox or Nikki Cox? I can't remember what.
Nikki Cox. She was on that that Married with Children knockoff show.
Yeah, and then
she was on Las Vegas.
Then they had a Kevin Spacey face imposed onto the Green Goblin.
Oh, that would have been even now. That would be good.
Yeah, that'd be good now. Yeah. crap, mega crap,
mega crap. So wait, who is his assistant? His what's the name?
Robertson.
Yeah.
Bill Nunn is the actor, I believe.
Yeah, the soul of J. Jonah Jameson.
And the thing is, they never. Yeah, that's the whole deal. He's supposed to be like his Jiminy Cricket, like his conscience a little bit. And it is heavily implied, I think, in here and in the next movie or in the comics that he knows that Peter Parker's Spider-Man.
Oh, totally. Yeah, it's like a James Gordon Batman situation where he's like, I know you're Batman, but I'm not going to say it because I respect you too much.
Yeah.
You know?
Or even closer with like the newspaper thing, like Perry White. He's like, there's a point where I think they say it's like Perry White is too good a reporter not to know Clark Kent's Superman.
Yeah, totally. But he understands what he's doing, and he has a broader understanding of it. So he's like, okay, I'll let it happen.
Now this sexual innuendo with the lens with the
yeah.
camera there.
Oh wait, there's actually two things going on here. So there's a whole that whole scene going on.
Yeah.
But then in the background they have a framed issue of their moon landing issue.
Right.
And the headline was "Take a walk."
Take a walk.
How great is that? Take a walk.
J. Jonah Skinflint, right? That's what they call him, Skinflint Jameson.
Oh, do they?
Yeah. Now this Oscorp board scene.
Yeah.
It's
hard.
Yeah.
So okay, yeah. So like, look at him. He's happy. He's doing what he can for his company. Sales are up. They got like 5 new government contracts. Like things are great. Yeah, all because Norman, like, he did what he had to do, you know, for his company. And they're like, yeah, that's great, but we're still firing you.
We're selling.
Yeah. What?
Expanding.
Oh yeah. And one of the deals was that you can't be involved.
Yeah.
Like they're making him the Green Goblin.
Screw you, founder.
Yeah, exactly. I know your name's on the side of the building, but whatever. Yeah. So this is another thing. Like, the interesting parallels of, okay, so Peter probably hasn't been Spider-Man since Uncle Ben died, right?
Well, I mean, he's doing it regularly now at this point.
Yeah, at this point, yeah. But then now you have Norman Osborn, who probably hasn't been the Green Goblin since that one night at the government testing facility.
The bunker, yeah.
Yeah, so it's kind of like these weird parallels between, like, making them find, I don't know, like, being thrust into their roles.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he is kind of just he's forced into a corner here. And the most intimidating coffee sip ever. It's like, I hate your fucking guts, Norman. I wanted to say that for years.
So there's a Spider-Man miniseries that happened where I think it was Humberto Ramos did the artwork. And I can't remember who did the writing, but it was like an issue. It was pretty much like Peter Parker and Green Goblin fighting. Spider-Man and Green Goblin fighting.
Where he got Flash Thompson drunk?
Yeah, yeah.
Like Flash Thompson was used as like a tool in their fight against each other.
I think, yeah, and then he like got into an accident or something.
That was written by Paul Jenkins.
Yeah, is that the one where Green Goblin and Spider-Man actually sit down at the end of the the end of the argument? They're like,
I was like, that's weird.
Yeah, it was weird, right? Where Peter was like, I had this dream, and then Green Goblin's like, tell me, son, like, tell me about it.
They're talking about Gwen too, and I'm like,
yeah, and he's like, I have a dream where you actually got to know Gwen. And you got to see the person that you killed.
Well, they retconned that too.
Oh, jeez. So it's kind of like it's on par. I keep bringing up Batman, but it's on par with The Killing Joke, with like the Batman and Joker laughing at the end of the issue.
Yeah, that is true. It is very. They do have a chuckle at the end of the issue as well.
Yeah, but it's like this weird thing where Peter despises Green Goblin, Green Goblin despises Peter, but they both get their roles in each other's lives and how they're like stuck in them. And they had like this like moment of like, man, I really wish you didn't kill my girlfriend because that really messed me up. Like, yeah, you know, I feel bad that I did it, but I had to do it, you know. Like this weird. And it's interesting to have like, and then with this it's kind of like how they're both being propelled into their positions and roles, that they're like, yeah, man, I didn't really want to be a bad guy, but I just kept getting drawn into it.
Well, they do have a scene where they just sit around and talk.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
probably not as serious as that was done in the comics, but
yeah.
Now we kind of talked over, but Macy Gray,
Macy Gray,
the most obvious. Like, yeah, this is a pertinent artist for the time. Like, nothing makes you feel more dated in this movie than Macy Gray.
I know. Yeah, right. I remember, like, I think I actually even saw an article saying that Macy Gray signed up to do a piece in it, and I was like, this movie's going to be legit.
Yeah.
They got her?
That guy, that's on par. Well, I'm like, at least she's not doing songs in the soundtrack like with the '89 Batman with Prince.
Oh yeah.
Trying to walk away.
Or like the seal kissed by a rose.
Did you ever own the Spider-Man soundtrack? Oh yeah, Kiss from
I
Rose.
may have owned it.
Yeah.
It's Danny Elfman, so it's good.
Oh yeah, the Danny Elfman soundtrack's great, but I mean the actual like the songs used.
Oh, Stan Lee. Sorry.
Yeah, there's a Stan Lee cameo.
Yeah.
This is before they gave him speaking roles.
Yeah, they let him talk. Although he just saved a little girl's life.
Yeah, I did like that. Well, he was proud of that. He's like, I play a very heroic part in this. I remember
Stan Lee, yeah, dude. Finally the hero.
That's a Superman lift right there.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah. Like, even in the theater, everyone's like, that's Superman's thing.
Yeah. Hey, I see what you're doing.
Even though every hero's got their togs at the ready underneath their street clothes.
Well, yeah.
Out am I? It's the Muppet Show.
Wait, this guy's dude, skeletons. What?
Yeah, he had it. He has a bomb that can disintegrate people into skeletons. And you kind of wonder later in the movie, why doesn't he use that all the time?
Well, yeah, right. It's like this go-to. It's like in Pacific Rim when they had a sword that could cut the things in half. Like, why did they just use that the whole time?
Next time, just lead with a sword, maybe.
Yeah, you save yourself some trouble.
Now, one of the slowest kids to react to things.
What? Although kids are pretty stupid.
Kids in peril. I mean, that's a trope for superhero movies.
Yeah.
But I remember even at that time, I'm like, oh, the kid's in trouble. Let me guess.
Okay, so let's talk about the costume, the Green Goblin costume.
Yeah.
So I do like the fact that you can see his face in the mouthpiece.
Mm-hmm. Or that he can lift up his eyes. You can see his eyes emote a little bit.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I feel like it would be more military.
It is.
Grade.
Yeah, with the exception of the mask, that suit, you know, could be designed military. Did you ever see the original concept designs that they had for?
Yeah, like he had like the cloth hanging over his shoulder and he was holding a sword or something.
Yeah, they were going to go for a more monstrous look.
Yeah.
For a while.
So I would have been okay with this if he was actually wearing rags, you know?
Yeah.
Like if he had like some kind of cloak that was tethered.
Yeah, but I guess for the sake of this movie, where you're right, it is from the military contract. It's part and parcel with that tech they were designing. I'm just wondering, do you make the mask himself, or do you have the
did he have they kind of alluded to the fact that he had like a collection of masks.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So they do that later where they show the tribal masks and things.
Yeah, so he has something, I guess.
I'm just wondering, did he make it himself, or did he have that butler do it?
Mr. Osborn, this is quite unusual.
The butler who knows everything about everyone's plots.
Well, the butlers always know.
He's the Alfred of the Green Goblin.
Yeah, totally.
Again, Spider-Man.
That's great.
I mean, yeah, that's superhero stuff, and I guess it's working for. But I mean, here's where, like I was saying, the first hour of this movie, like it's very compelling, like emotional, like origin story, and now
character development.
It's settled into its superhero mode at this point.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to talk too much about the second movie, but the second movie is so great because you don't have to do the stupid origin anymore. Yeah. You actually just have Spider-Man being Spider-Man at the beginning of the movie. And that's great. Like, there's a scene where Spider-Man's fighting Doc Ock on the side of a building, and that was the moment I've been waiting for.
But I mean, the thing with this one too is that, like, with Spider-Man 2 at least, like, the emotional journey of the character seemed to be constantly flowing throughout that. In here, he seems pretty, for the most part, up until, the reveal at the end with who Goblin is and everything like that, he seems pretty much on standby mode. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. Like, he's a hero, obviously, but I don't know. It's kind of weird. Like, it kind of is into cops and robbers now. Like, the Goblin wants to kill Spider-Man now. Why?
Because he's on par with him. You know? Like,
like,
okay, well, I guess you're going to be my villain.
It's like, you either join me or you don't.
Yeah, we both have powers.
But in a way, you kind of get like, okay, that's the way that they keep the Goblin going, because he basically accomplished his goal. He killed all the board members.
Yeah. Like, all right, well, he's done now. He can stop being Green Goblin, I guess. Yeah. But no, they give him a reason to keep going. Yeah. So Peter hasn't acknowledged yet that he knows that Harry's hooking up with Mary Jane, right?
Yeah, that's right. Because she dropped it on him earlier. Like, we're going out. Didn't he tell you? I'm like,
but then Harry saw Peter in the crowd.
Yeah, he knows now. I think. Harry's going to be like, "Sorry, man, I should have told you."
Yeah, sorry, bro.
Was there a point? I can't remember if it was James Franco and Kirsten Dunst or if it was Tobey Maguire and Kirsten Dunst. Were they?
I think it was Tobey Maguire and Kirsten Dunst dating for a little bit.
For a little bit, and then she hooked up with Jake Gyllenhaal, who
Ooh.
I heard was rumored to be
the replacement for
Tobey
Maguire, because Tobey Maguire hurt his back.
Yeah, during Seabiscuit. Yeah.
Yeah. So they were like, okay, well, we need to replace him. And I remember Kirsten Dunst being like, well, my boo, Jake Gyllenhaal, looks just like Tobey Maguire.
Yeah.
I don't know why I made her so sassy, but
my boo.
My boo.
I do declare.
Just in keeping with the dialogue. He gives me the vapors.
Whatever it is, somebody has to stop it.
Well, all right, I guess that's your job.
You seem pretty focused on this, almost as if you were a superhero.
Yeah, one would say you're a bit too invested.
Maker's Mark.
Oh, wow,
drink
plug.
Of Green Goblin.
Man.
Maker's Mark. It'll make you hear psychotic voices all throughout your house.
The drink of villains everywhere.
Have a split personality? Drink Maker's Mark.
Yeah. So this actually scene is pretty great. I mean, okay, so it kind of reminds me of that Lord of the Rings scene when Gollum is talking to himself.
Yeah. This is actually before that too.
Wow, oh dude, man.
This was summer of 2002, and then
Peter Jackson, you
Two Towers came out afterward.
crook.
But yeah, there they are. They're the masks. So
Yeah.
I guess that's alluding to the fact that why he would choose a goblin mask.
Yeah, but he didn't have. I don't see any examples of any like high tech, advanced green, militarized mask laying around.
That's in the basement. The
oh, okay, yeah, that's the other
butler
collection.
keeps
That's a
an eye on
private
that
collection.
stuff.
It's funny.
Yeah, I the first time I saw this, I was kind of digging it.
He's so flamboyant.
If they'd done just like cuts like you said with Gollum, where they cut from his timid personality to his fierce one, but I do kind of get a chuckle every time he's like going in and out, and you see him transitioning in and out.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's Willem Dafoe just going for the money, or not for the money, but for going for the gold on the.
Yeah.
Like he's an actor.
He's doing it. You're doing it, buddy. Way to go.
I think there was a time before they decided on Nicholson for like he was being considered as a Joker for the '89 Batman.
Who? Willem Dafoe?
I think so.
Oh, really? He's got the face for it. Look at him, Jesus.
Yeah. Like whenever he does one of those, when he does this snarl coming up, like I could see a Jokerish aspect.
No, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, like he wouldn't even need any like prosthetics or anything.
Oh, when he's like leering at Mary Jane later on, I'm kind of like, yeah, that's
oh, the lady,
dude. My I got all flesh crawly on that too. I'm like, ugh.
Yeah. Which now, okay, so the issue where Green Goblin kills Gwen Stacy, right?
Yeah.
Like I don't really remember the storyline. Like, does he know? Like, why does he go after Gwen Stacy? Does he know that she's Peter Parker's? Or
in the comics, well, they retconned the reason for that too recently.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, they hooked up or something, right?
Or something, which is weird. But in the comics, for a long time, the personality of the Goblin had been going in and out. Like there would be times Norman Osborn would be perfectly fine, and he'd have amnesia regarding Spider-Man's identity and things like that, because he eventually finds out, but he forgets. And then at one point, he just had a nervous breakdown. I think it was because Harry was on drugs and stuff.
Okay.
And then he remembers everything. He remembers, Gwen Stacy is Peter's girlfriend. I'm going to go mess up his life the way he...
Oh, and he knows that Peter is Spider-Man.
Spider-Man, yeah.
Okay.
Jameson.
Ted Raimi's brother. We haven't talked about Ted Raimi's brother. Sam Raimi's brother, Ted.
Well, he gets a little bit more stuff to do later on in the films, I guess, in terms of like quips and jokes, but he just kind of shows up here and there in this first one.
Yeah.
Set him down, tough guy.
Okay, so look at this. This is probably like the most quintessential Spider-Man comic book imagery.
Yep.
I mean, like him hanging there, Green Goblin right there. And
Sleep.
Oh, okay. Come on, buddy. You could have defeated against that.
No. As you and I know, that's what, Flatiron, right?
Yeah, the Flatiron building. Yeah.
I would walk by there when I first came to the city. I'd walk by and I'd be like, Goblin dropped Spidey out of that window up there.
It all happened right there.
Now, you'd think he would have, while he was knocked out, he would have taken off the dude's mask. Like,
yeah, maybe. I don't know. Maybe it was like his attempt to like show him that he could trust him. Like, I could have taken your mask off, but I didn't.
But I mean, the Goblin's still a duplicitous dude. He could have been like taking off the mask.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
And then be like, I totally, Boy Scouts on, Scouts honor. I totally didn't look under the mask.
Yeah, just so you know, I could have. But you could trust me.
This head smack on coming up is
I love it, and like the little lazy like lean against the side of the window.
I mean, yeah, and nowadays I do prefer kind of a more serious take, but at the time I'm like, yeah, this is just fun, whatever.
Yeah.
He is the
you know what? You get two professional actors in like costumes. Like, look what they're doing. Look what they're wearing, and look at what they're saying. I'm happy that they can at least have fun with it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's all. You can't fault Willem Dafoe for sleepwalking through roles.
Yeah, true.
He goes, whatever it is, whatever the role, he'll go for it.
Yeah.
Now, with Tobey Maguire, here's one thing that even when I first saw it, I was kind of curious about: the voice. He doesn't really. I'm not saying he should be like full on Batman, like where's this, like he should be like that, but he really. I don't know. Did you ever notice anything discernibly different in his delivery between being Peter and being Spider-Man? I mean, he talks more like a hero of Spider-Man, but in his tone, like he doesn't try to change it up. And even when I was watching this for the first time, as I'm coming off of my buzz, I'm like, especially with Mary Jane, I'm like, do you not know who this is? Listen to his voice.
Here's the thing, though. Peter Parker's only had like maybe 4 conversations with Mary Jane.
I guess so, yeah.
You know, like I don't know if she would actually be able to like pick his voice out of a lineup.
Huh, that is true, I guess. Well, in that case, in the case of Norman Osborn, he makes weekly inspections at the apartment.
So he would know.
So,
and I mean, like, and Tobey Maguire's voice is pretty like cracky and recognizable.
Yeah, it's like because it's right.
What are you doing, Gobby?
Gobby, you're out of your mind.
We got to go back to Pleasantville.
He's Michael J. Fox now. So,
yeah.
This is heavy,
Doc,
this is heavy.
My webbing, it's so heavy.
A soap opera told me I needed acting lessons. Hey, don't knock soap operas, Mary Jane.
Yeah, dude, come on.
At my job, I have to watch a lot of daytime television in my peripheral because I work in like a hospital and things like that. So they have a lot of daytime. I'm like, these actors are trying their little hearts out.
Yeah, dude, they're acting. They're doing it. Dude, James Franco is on a soap opera, or he was.
And the thing is, they do it on a daily basis too. Like,
daily.
I mean, they're cranking out.
I like that we're defending soap operas because of Mary Jane's like stupid little line.
Well, I mean, what else?
How dare you?
What else are we gonna talk about? I can't talk about this dialogue.
No, it's true. We did divert a little bit away from the dialogue.
These are Hallmark cards, put on a script sometimes.
Yeah, no, I don't get it.
And besides, I'm like, if she's really trying to make a go of it with Harry, why is she even dangling poor Peter along like this? Tease.
Tiger. There you go.
You tease.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Maybe she doesn't know. Maybe she doesn't realize.
Yeah. Okay.
But hey, look at this girl. Let's go attack her.
Why would you not get a cab after that?
Yeah, I know, right? The guys looked at each other and they pretty much said, hey, you want to attack this girl? All right, let's go after her.
And which street of New York City is this deserted?
Yeah, true. Yeah. And alleyways.
We stepped into like Gotham at this point.
Yeah, no, totally. Give us the pearls, pretty lady.
I do like to see Spider-Man fighting in the rain, and the lighting works really well. That even with his mask off, you can't tell who he is.
Yeah, totally. But why didn't he put his mask on?
Didn't have time, I guess. They were about to, have their way.
Yeah, I guess so. Oh, here we go.
There we go.
Ooh, that's violent, dude. That's aggressive.
Mm-hmm.
Not very. Yeah.
It's just dragging. Like, I do like this fight scene. It's like, it's just straight up you can, like, that stuff is like, cool stunt fighting and things like that I'm appreciative of.
But it's like, it's very brawly. It's cold? Emotional,
Is it cold out, Mary Jane?
Yeah.
You can't tell.
Yeah, dude, look at him. He's jacked.
Yeah, he is jacked up.
That's pure Maguire.
Jeez, sorry. I'm distracted. I was distracted for a second. I'm going back to the theater. Like, there was a dude in the back of the theater. I remember who was just like, I can see your tits.
Yes, you can.
Of course you can. It happens in real life.
Come on, buddy.
Get over it. People have nipples.
Everyone has nipples. Exactly.
But right here, she just had a conversation with Peter. And how does she not recognize that voice?
It would have been awesome if he would have said something he said exactly a second ago. Yeah. And she still didn't recognize it.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Even this kind of kicks off what the ending should be kind of like. Because I'm like, you've kissed both these dudes. Towards the end of the movie, she's like, you've kissed both. Granted, one was upside down, but still.
Ooh. The kiss that defined a generation.
Yeah. I remember, what was it when this came out?
MTV Movie Awards.
MTV Movie Awards, Saturday Night Live.
Yeah, everybody.
Everyone did this one. Robot Chicken. My favorite was Robot Chicken.
Oh, I don't know. I didn't see that.
There was a clip they did with Kirsten Dunst is like renting a movie, and the guy gives her the movie, and she's walking out, and there's a nerd there, and he dangles upside down from the doorway in a spot. He's like, "This is just like in the movie. Now you got to give me a kiss, Mary Jane." She punches him. He passes out. The store clerk comes over. He's like, "Dude, you all right, dude?" And he starts making out with him while he's unconscious.
Okay, that's funny.
All right.
Imagine if she would have pulled down a mask and he was all like disfigured,
or like 80 years old. He's got like a turkey neck and things like that.
Well, thanks for the save. I gotta go.
Dentures fall out of his mouth.
Yeah.
My God, that woman. Somebody save my baby. Somebody save my baby.
My baby. I don't understand any situation where there would be a fire. Well, okay, I can't say that because it probably happens a lot. But I mean, like, there's a fire and somehow you can separate it from your baby.
Yeah.
Like, did you step away for a moment?
Yeah.
I guess. I don't know. Whatever.
She's awfully twitchy, but
she's very twitchy. She probably got paid by the Green Goblin.
Yeah, probably. Maybe that's why. Yeah.
Yeah. This guy with his fire mustache.
Here's the real deal, sweetheart. I'm going to put your baby at risk for like 5 seconds.
But all your debts will go away.
But I guarantee this spider guy's going to come in and save her.
Trust me. Yeah, wow. Dude, if that would have happened, that would have been great. Like, to show how, like, psychologically, like, manipulative he was.
Yeah. Oh, cut to the real baby.
No. That was horrible.
Now, here's something that I like a lot that they don't do so much in these reboots yet, is that Spider-Man has kind of an antagonistic relationship with the public and with the cops from time to time.
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, yeah, they didn't really talk about that.
They did it a little bit when he first showed up in the new one, but then that's it.
No, there's like this whole idea where like they respect what he's doing. They're like, all right, you could do what we can't do. Go do it. But like, we don't really like that you're doing it.
I like the cop. He's like, I'll be here when you get back. Yeah.
I ain't going to be here.
You just saw him shoot 30 feet up into the air.
Yeah, okay. And he's going to come just right back to where he was. All right, well, time to arrest me.
Now, I'm like, okay, you got the lady crying. Okay, you get it.
Yeah.
As soon as you get within 5 feet of this thing and you see that protruding back of his mouth.
Yeah.
Can you...
Dude. Yeah, but yeah. I don't know. I can't remember if in the movies I saw that coming. I jumped. I remember like when he turns and screams.
Like, I'm off to the flames. No, this is Saturday mornings. This is 67 Spider-Man cartoon.
Yeah.
Maybe even a little bit of the 90s one. It's you who's out, Gobby.
So is that the skeleton bomb or...
No, this is the Bat Bomb.
Oh, yeah, right.
Here's where the Matrix pays off.
Yeah.
Only a couple years behind the Matrix, so... Bullet time. The thing is, bullet time works for something like Spider Sense.
Yeah, no, totally. Like, things would move slowly.
Yeah.
I mean, you saw Flash Thompson's, his punch.
Mm-hmm. I do like what he does here. He has a hit coming up where he punches him, then webs him, then brings him back and punches him
that's
again.
cool. I like that, yeah.
Like this one. Yeah. That's when using your powers in tandem works really well.
Yeah, totally. And that just shows when people who fully understand the range of what they're working with.
Yeah.
Like, he would do cool stuff like that.
He's practiced.
Yeah, exactly.
No one says no to me. Who are you talking to?
Yeah. Oh, okay. Gotta come back into it. So he was pretty much Green Goblin up until the elevator ride?
Yeah. Green Goblin's like, I've got a Thanksgiving dinner to get to.
Yeah. And then he just wakes up and he's like, oh, where am I? Oh, Thanksgiving. All right. Hey, Aunt May, how you doing?
I did, and the fact is, the scene almost after this is their meeting kind of is just oh, these kids of ours growing up so quick, and then it's like, I'm gonna burn your house down, lady.
Yeah, totally, literally. And I'm gonna dangle you from a bridge in an hour.
Here comes the flesh crawly part from ugh. Just he's like, yeah, son, yeah, you
tapping this? Way to go, buddy.
Way to go. She gets older, man. Yeah. Oh.
Huh.
God. That is so weird.
She catches him doing it.
That's so... At that point... that's where I'm kind of wishing this version of Mary Jane had a little bit more of the abrasiveness of the original, because I'm like, at that point, Mary Jane would have slapped him.
Yeah.
What are you doing, you sick old man? Oh, here we go. This isn't a lot of the promo stuff. The blood drop.
Yeah.
Yeah. Here we go. No, don't coagulate just yet.
He could have caught it though with his other hand.
I like that part where he's like, all brilliant men are. He's like a bit of a slob, isn't he? He's like, all brilliant men are. Like, just that motherly stuff she does. Uh-oh.
His goblin senses.
Goblin sense tingling.
That's a lot of blood.
Now, aside from super strength and stuff like that, they established the super strength of the goblin stuff. But they didn't say anything about heightened senses or anything, did they?
No, I don't think so.
You're kind of wondering, like, does he just have really phenomenal hearing?
I guess I hear a drop of blood splatter on the floor.
It's a jungle.
Oh, there he is. Oh, God, Peter.
Aw.
So that was like the best Peter Parker line in the movie.
I like that they gave Peter the most menial task for this dinner. Like, Harry and Mary Jane have been like cleaning the apartment. He's been cooking all the food. Peter, go get cranberries.
Yeah. Well, they know that he's not reliable.
He's helpless.
Which is crazy because like this general like
I do like this whole like whatever. I eat what I want.
I'm Norman Osborn.
I'm Norman Osborn. Here, let me get these knives ready.
So now he's like fully embracing his evil side.
He's like, I'm totally cool with this psychotic I'm sharing my head with.
Oh, it's all making sense now.
And 2 and 2 get put together. I do like the coming up with the excuse of the bike messenger.
Yeah, that was good.
I ran into Joseph Gordon-Levitt on the way over. He's being chased
he was on a Premium Rush.
Yeah, he was in Premium Rush. That was written by David Cope too.
Yeah, dude.
I wonder if he got inspired.
Jor-El. No, not Jor-El. Zod.
Zod.
Yeah.
I wonder if he got inspired. He's like, man, I remember writing in a line about a bike messenger back in. Let's follow the story of that bike messenger.
Let's see what his. Wow. Imagine that. Premium Rush was really just a whole story built around the guy who brushed against Peter Parker on Thanksgiving.
That'd be awesome.
One random day.
It's a spin-off of the official Spider-Man spin-off.
So when do we get the Jim Norton delivery truck movie? That's what I want.
Guest starring Opie and Anthony.
Friggin' Opie and Anthony.
That'd be the hardest R ever.
Oof. Yeah, that would definitely.
Okay.
Not Wednesday.
I'm glad. Okay, so Mary Jane takes some gumption here, especially after he's saying like, "Oh, she's just sniffing around for your money and everything like that."
Yeah. Like wolves.
He's just like, "Yep, better bang it and climb it." I don't know.
Bang it and let it go. Right?
Bang it and let it go.
Tap it and slap it.
It's a one and done, Harry.
That's the Goblin way. I mean the Osborn way.
I mean the Osborn way. Quiet.
Seriously, there was a Saturday Night Live sketch with The Rock playing Superman.
Yeah, oh yeah, I remember.
You ever see that? And he kept like his costume was totally hanging out.
Yeah.
Like he was making bad transitions between Superman and Clark Kent. Everyone knew he was Superman, but he kept being like, "Oh, good thing Superman showed up," and they're like, "Yeah, good thing."
And they were messing with him too about it.
Yeah, but it'd be kind of funny if like everyone knows that Peter Parker's Spider-Man.
I do remember the one part where he's like, I heard Superman goes that way. He's like, no, he didn't. Maybe he messed around in Smallville a little. Okay.
That's hysterical.
Okay. Yeah. I dig this split personality dynamic.
This makes more sense.
But the mask on an armchair.
Oh, yeah.
I did burst out laughing when I first saw that.
I would have loved it if they put like a glass of Chardonnay or like whiskey on the arm of the chair. Mm-hmm. Like the Goblin was like enjoying a fresh drink and like a cigar hanging out of his mouth.
Or like a cat that he's imaginary petting. The heart, Osborn.
Duh.
Here's where I would say it's like if it would just been like the voice in his head, I could have believed that a little bit more. But like they went that extra mile with kind of the comic book goofiness with the mask. Here's your favorite. Yeah. Here's the scene you like. Not favorite.
Oh
probably,
Jesus, yeah.
I do like that. It is kind of.
Oh man, it's quick too. It just.
Though I do have to ask, it's like, does he have like enhanced hearing? Oh well, yeah, enhanced senses. I guess he can hear blood drop. Yeah. He can hear blood drop on the floor, so he can hear her doing her prayer. Wow. Poor Aunt May. Yeah. She's like this old lady who just for some reason keeps getting thrown into these scenarios and never knows why. Oh, she gets it together in the second one though. She sucks. Yeah. Doc Ock. Why does the Sandman keep trying to kill me? What did I ever do to him?
I woke up in a house of mirrors and some guy with a fishbowl head. Why me? If only I knew what I was doing wrong.
Well, no, it's not even that with him, man. It's just like, oh, Social Security dropped me.
yeah, true. Yeah. Oh, I can't afford my rent. Especially with like big rhino guys destroying my yard every weekend.
Peter, I asked for non-dill pickle specifically.
I gave you one thing to do, Peter.
You fucked it up.
What do you do with your life? Nothing.
There are some quiet moments here.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
No, I'm
that's
sorry.
sweet.
Like, yeah. And that makes sense. It's like, yeah, he's getting the gravity. It's like, oh, crap, the goblins figured it out.
That sucks, man. He's only been Spider-Man for like 3 months, man. He's already got like one arch-villain discover his identity.
If only I could call some like strategic homeland intervention group that could possibly help me in dealing with supervillains. Oh, wait.
Oh, well. No, doesn't exist in this universe.
Not yet, yeah.
That's actually one of my biggest pet peeves in comic books, where they have like, okay, so you have Spider-Man who gets hurt and is like crippled, right? Mm-hmm. And he's like, if only there was a way for me to heal myself. And then you have X-Men with like a group of people who are healers, you know? Like, I wish that the people in the comic book community intermingled more than they did.
Well, I mean, that's always been the thing with Spider-Man specifically, too, is like, oh, man, this is an Avengers-sized problem. Oh, they're off in space.
Yeah, like, this would have been easily fixed if you went to the X-Men and been like, hey, Emma Frost, can you, like, maybe delete the fact that Peter Parker is Spider-Man from Norman Osborn's brain? That would really make my life a lot easier.
They did that. Have you picked up the recent Amazing Spider-Man issue with Electro?
Yes.
They do that a little bit. Where he's like, they verify who he is, and he's like, Captain America's like, okay, well, we're heading for space, so hold down the fort, kid. I'm like,
yeah, that's true. Okay, yeah.
A lot, you dick.
Yeah. All right, well, awesome. Yeah, I feel like the abilities and powers available in the Marvel Universe and the problems that people run into, they could easily be fixed if people just communicated with one another.
Yeah, come on, guys, get together a little bit.
Yeah, come on, man. You know, you're a community of superheroes.
Okay,
all trying to save the world.
With this one, they kind of gave him the Lois Lane Superman dynamic, where like Mary Jane's hung up on Spider-Man, which I don't think she ever wasn't. Like she didn't even care that much about Spider-Man in the comics.
No, it's because she was into Peter.
She was into Peter first and foremost.
Yeah, because Spider-Man is like, you know, a guy in a costume running around saving people's lives, whatever. And Peter Parker's a real guy.
Also in the retcon with that too, where she's known from the beginning, he's Spider-Man. That makes sense too. She's like, okay, he's Peter first. Okay.
Oh, interesting. So I guess that would make sense why she wouldn't really care about Spider-Man.
Now, if this wasn't a big enough like hint, he's like, I've talked to Spider-Man.
Yeah,
he's mentioned you.
You've come. Yeah, we have coffee every Tuesday, and he brought you up.
Exactly verbatim what he said to me about you.
Oh, interesting.
With the exact same amount of investment.
Yeah, he said something about you guys kissing while he was hanging upside down, and you tasting like strawberries. I don't know.
Yeah.
And like, you know, he fought like 4 other guys and they were wearing like punk rock gear and it was raining and your nipples were exposed. I don't know.
I'm something. So you just made me remember Strawberry from when we get to the third one. I'm gonna have so much fun where James Franco's like strawberries.
Wow, I totally forgot. That was subconsciously in my head.
Oh my god. Sorry,
James Franco. He's in all 3 movies, right?
Yeah, he's in all 3. Yeah,
man.
Then yeah, this part here. And I guess this is where the turn is, where she's like, oh, there's been this guy all along.
Yeah.
Who happens to have the exact same voice.
and physical physique of Spider-Man.
Honestly, she's like, you've always been there for me. But
not really.
It's mostly as just like a guy to bounce her problems off of. Like he doesn't take initiative to help her or anything like that. And
she doesn't really like actively acknowledge his existence, really.
I mean, he saves her life as Spider-Man, but as Peter Parker, he really hasn't done much of anything except for providing a pep talk here and there.
Yeah.
Oh.
Dude, you shouldn't be ashamed of that.
James Dean is heartbroken.
Yeah. How dare you hold hands in front of your dying aunt?
He has a line of dialogue here with his dad where he's like, there's no one Peter cares for more. Like the full on like accents coming out there. Yeah. Like, that he loses throughout the films, but now
go ahead.
My dad is yelling psychotically throughout the house.
Yeah.
That doesn't raise a red flag, right?
No, not at all. They're millionaires, they're eccentric. So how do you feel about Harry Osborn's representation in the new Spider-Man movies?
You know what? I know we talked about it on the podcast and things like that. I dig his interactions with Peter. His sidestepping into Goblin is a little rushed, I felt.
Yeah, absolutely.
But at the same time, like I got what that character was about right away. It did feel, because this guy has 3 movies to develop.
True.
His hatred for Spider-Man, like the conflict is there. I get it. In the new movie,
it's only going to build and build, and
But in this one, this movie kicks off that relationship with Spider-Man.
Yeah, and Peter, Peter now has maybe stolen Mary Jane.
Yep. This movie is the kickoff point, and then it builds in the next 2, and so he's given that time. I felt like we mentioned before in the podcast, they were hell bent on like building up the movie world of Spider-Man for other.
They
movies.
They need to establish the Goblin in that movie.
He's got to be Goblin by the end of the movie. He's got to be establishing Sinister Six. Yeah.
In this which is unfortunate.
It's unfortunate, but I mean, I thought the actor did a fine job with it.
No, yeah, totally.
I would have loved to just see more of him being Peter's friend or uneasy ally at most.
Whoa!
Wake up, little spider, wake up. And here's that Superman reference that everyone, when they first saw the trailer, were like, "Oh, giving it to Soups."
When did the Bryan Singer Superman movie come out?
I believe that was 2006.
Oh,
so it was a year before Spider-Man 3.
Yeah, you're not Superman, you know. Wow, how did DC let that fly?
Well, I mean, you know,
the gauntlet's been thrown, buddy.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's kind of, you know, you could argue to be like, well, Superman's a generic term.
Yeah, true.
It's like, it's not just associated with it. It's like, you're not a Superman, you know. You're not an Ubermensch.
Yeah. You're not a super soldier.
Here's that Aunt May, is that an angel? Kind of like, you were that geeky as a kid too. Christ. And that's my thing with the movie is like, for this first film, it feels fine that he's geeky Parker, but Sam Raimi and Tobey Maguire felt like they should just keep him in that mode for the rest of the series.
It feels like the Brady Bunch movies.
Yeah,
where like these kids are like trapped in the 70s, but they're living in like the 2000s.
He never really grows up as Peter Parker. As Spider-Man, he becomes, you know, better, stronger, faster, and everything like that. But
all those things.
As Peter, he's kind of still just a doof. He never like wises up. Here we go. And so, did you predict that it was going to be George Washington Bridge scene?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, and I remember thinking, not knowing if they were going to kill her or not.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I mean, because I was like back in the day before you could like, you know, look up spoilers on the internet.
Right.
Like I knew that they were introducing Mary Jane as his first love, which I was like, okay, they're replacing her with Gwen Stacy, and there's gonna be a bridge scene. It's the Goblin. I'm like, they might kill her. I remember saying like they might kill Mary Jane in this movie, and they might introduce Gwen Stacy in the next if they do a next one.
Especially if it's Sam Raimi too.
Yeah, right. Totally, he would do that. No problem.
He can go for the sudden like dark twists. It's like but I don't know. I went into this kind of knowing like
that she was safe.
This is gonna be a safe interpretation of it because it's playing at kids primarily. Like all the promotional material I'd seen for it up until that point was very kid heavy, which is weird because they're still doing it with the new movie. Like they showed the movie, they show like a commercial before the previews even, and there's like a commercial for like some Spider-Man toys, and it's all fun-loving, amazing Spider-Man 2 toys.
Yeah, I'm like, but Gwen Stacy dies.
I went into the movie I didn't know because of spoilers or anything like that, but I had a feeling. I'm like that is the logical progression for that dynamic. I'm like, she has to die in this movie.
Yeah,
has to play bigger, and I'm kind of like, as that commercial's on, I'm like, a girl dies in this. Like, violently. She hits the fucking ground.
Traumatically traumatized by it.
I'm like, and you're selling toys. I'm like, I guess that works. You know, that's the thing with superheroes. They can be goofy and kiddie, and then you have the serious, heavy stuff.
Yeah. Pick up your new Gwen Stacy doll. Now with adjustable spine movements.
Yeah, collapsible neck.
Yeah. And every time you crack her back, it makes like the stink noise or whatever.
Yeah, the infamous sound effect, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's brutal.
Crying Peter Parker figure sold separately.
Mourning Peter Parker. Tombstone sold separately.
All right.
No, it's horrible. Yeah, so yeah, I thought that maybe she might die. I don't know. I would have been okay with it.
Now, I know Spider-Man is very strong, able to project himself.
Yes.
Wow, that was a good long shot.
That's good, man. I don't know. I need Mythbusters to prove that was possible.
Yeah. Well, everything is so conveniently next door to each other in this New York City.
Yeah, and Spider-Man's in New York.
You never know when some lunatic riddle me this, Spider-Man.
Yeah, you're the lunatic. I don't know what's going on here.
I will say, Kirsten Dunst has a scream on her.
Good scream. Yeah, legit.
Now, I remember everyone in the theater being like, okay, let your girlfriend die or all these kids.
Well, there's clearly one option.
Yeah. Everything.
The kids. No.
Oh, yeah, or the kids, yeah.
Yeah.
Everyone.
But, classic Spider-Man, he figures out how to do both.
Yep. Don't do it, Goblin.
Please.
But, of course, we're going to go into Spider-Sense mode here. Or at least it's dramatic heft, but, I'm like thinking it's like, okay, he's in Spider-Sense mode. He's going to catch everybody.
That's a cool shot.
Yeah.
Of, like, them both falling in his... and then you see that and you're like, whoa, dude, you chose wrong.
I think a little bit of trivia about that Mary Jane scene where she was falling. She was sitting in a chair the whole time, and the camera was just zooming out of her.
Oh, really?
Big green screened it. So she's just sitting in a chair being like, ah!
That must have been fun. Ooh. So this thing weighs, what? A ton?
Yeah, probably. Yeah. I want to say as much as a car, Yeah.
Yeah. And there's like kids in there flailing about.
Now, here's something I found out I watched some internet review sites and everything like that.
Mm-hmm.
Here's something I found out about this guy in the boat. He's played by an actor, I believe his name is Robert Kirkman.
Okay.
He was in stuff like old 70s, 80s stuff, like Cannibal Holocaust and things like that.
Huh.
I think what he's best known for...
Wait, don't tell me, because I saw his face a second ago and it looked familiar.
He's a dude with a beard. Well, he was way younger in this. He was in Debbie Does Dallas, apparently.
Oh, get out of here. I didn't know that. Okay.
I'm like, you have a porn actor in Spider-Man.
What? Sam Raimi.
For the kids, right?
It's for the kids.
I mean, he's a legitimate actor, too. Like, he's been in,
It would have been awesome if, like, some parent was watching it being like, wait a minute.
I recognize that guy from a theater on 42nd Street.
I recognize those hands.
Oh, my God.
Oh, dude, that's great. That's a great shot.
Yeah, slow-mo, like, catch the falling thing. The only thing that takes me out of it at the very end is when Mary Jane is barely hanging on, but it doesn't look like that. Yeah, like she loses one hand. I'm like, oh, okay.
That was pretty good, though. Oh, yeah, that guy, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Now, here's something I'm kind of wondering, like, did they add stuff in after 9/11? This whole, like, you mess with one of us, you mess with all of us.
I think so, too. Yeah, because
like,
if you notice, there's, I don't know, like the firefighters are like the heroes of the movie.
Mm-hmm. There's, like, solidarity.
Yeah, there's like this whole like New York pride, like where, hey, you attack one of us, you attack all of us kind of thing.
Yeah, there it is. He's like, or it's gonna be, like, part of me wants to think that, like, I got something for your ass.
Yeah. How dare you? You mess with New York, yeah.
Yeah, you mess with New York. Like, I want to say, like, that was done in post.
That had to be, yeah.
I mean, which makes sense. I mean, that's the thing, too. We haven't really talked about so much here is that, like, given the time, I have a feeling the reason this did do so well is because of the fact you needed
a New York hero.
A New York hero to be, like, at the front and center of something like that, or something to symbolize that New York heroic attitude.
Yeah, I mean, I know. And Marvel, like, they being based in New York, like, a lot of superhero companies, comic book companies, they put a lot of, like, effort into making sure that, like, New York was represented. Mm-hmm. Like, they had, like, that Heroes book that came out the firefighters and
they did a special issue of Spider-Man, I believe.
Yeah, the black issue. Yeah, so I definitely think they would have been like, all right, we got to throw some, like, New York love in here.
I mean, as morbid as it sounds, like, I have a feeling like Spider-Man owes a lot of its success to that post 9/11 to that event, that world event.
Yeah. No, totally.
Like, a lot of stuff, like, hero based that year, I remember was just selling so much. Like, Smallville had just started too, and that was pulling in good numbers, I guess.
Yeah.
I think it was because of the fact it came on after the events of 9/11. They needed heroic images.
Yeah, like lighthearted though, but not too, like, dark and
right.
Oh, he's getting owned too, though, man.
Yeah, nothing more heroic than watching your hero take a savage beating.
Yeah. Now, so this is interesting. The whole idea about, like, how whenever you have a superhero movie, when the character wears a mask, you have to find ways of them not being in the mask.
Yeah.
I mean, would you be okay with a movie where Spider-Man never takes off his mask?
Well, I mean, they did that to extent, like in Amazing Spider-Man 2, like throughout his battles, the only time he took off his mask in the battles was when Gwen died, and that was
true. Yeah,
and there was an emotional. You needed to see his face for that.
Yeah, no, totally.
But I mean, yeah, in these movies, I have a feeling there was something in his contract. It's like, I got to have my mask off in the third act. It's like,
yeah, come on, man, I can't be wearing this mask the entire time. I'm Tobey Maguire.
Spider-Man 2 especially, like I still like that movie, but that is the worst offender of
him taking off his mask and
takes it off like 5 times in the end of the finale. Here we go. He's getting mad because he mentioned doing nasty things to his girl,
which is not right.
Not right at all.
So they sold this prop, the Goblin Spear.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, I remember like it coming out and people going crazy for it.
Huh.
This was like also big when Marvel was making a lot of replica stuff.
Right, like McCats.
Whoa.
And things like that,
yeah. He dropped a brick wall on this dude.
Yeah, he's okay. He's Captain.
Yeah, he's fine.
He's Captain America.
He's Captain America. He had the super serum pumped into his lungs before. He's fine.
Yeah, that was the one good thing that came out of green gas.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, no, was that blue gas?
I thought it was green.
Oh, I thought it was blue. Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And here we go. Like now, yeah, I do like the little touches here. Like you can see the indentations in his mask as Peter's hitting him. Peter.
Like he's breaking him out of his. Yeah.
He turns into Don Knotts really quick. Peter, stop! Oh lordy!
You got to get Andy.
down by the lake.
I need some of the paws. Whatever.
And here's where he's in full on like switching between both of them. Like here's all part of me was like thinking is like maybe he's really trying to struggle to get out of his madness.
Yeah, maybe he's trying to break free of it. Yeah, but then he's like
he's fully resigned to it. And it comes down to the father. No, because then part of me was like, does one part of his body not know what the other part's doing?
yeah, that's possible too. Yeah, like he's not aware. Yeah.
One's triggering probably the trap while the other's talking. And and then I'm thinking at this point, like, as the father in him is saying, like, you've hurt my son, you broke my son's heart.
Like his anger's coming from a real place, but it's just warped.
As Spider-Man, you've hurt me. As Peter Parker, you've hurt me.
Yeah. Can we just hug it out?
I like this. I have a father.
Oh.
And then he belches out Godspeed.
Godspeed, Spider-Man.
And this is what happened in the comics, pretty much.
Yeah.
Without the Gwen death, but yeah. Oh, shoot.
Oh, wow. I didn't really plan that out.
And then from here on out, like, this is the moment that defines the rest of the series, too, because this sets off Harry's vendetta.
Because now he's going after Spider-Man, and then...
This sets off, like, Peter's wariness of him. This sets off that butler having to know everything.
I dressed his wounds. Those were glider wounds.
I cleaned his wound. The markings are the same from his glide.
Wow, you do that voice pretty good, man.
Yeah, well, dude, I've seen these.
It's a rare ability to mimic the butler from Spider-Man perfectly.
Now, this is another just nitpick of. You'd think a place like Osborn Mansion would have some security or cameras. And
I don't know, but I mean, the way that Spider-Man can get into places, like through skylights and whatnot.
I guess so, yeah. What have you done?
Good thing we have a gun in the counter. Yeah.
Now, this sets up something that they don't really touch upon in the other movies so much. It's like, you'd think Harry would report that Spider-Man killed his dad.
He might have.
Or maybe they did, and he was like, oh, you're crazy, kid, or whatever. Because after this, like, no one really has a problem with Spider-Man after this movie so much.
Do you think there should have been like a headline, Spider-Man kills Osborn or something?
There's something that I felt like they haven't even really touched on. Like, he's too widely accepted as a hero. And you forget there are points in his history where he's wanted by the police. He's an outlaw at times. It's like he's wanted for murders that obviously he didn't do, but...
No, yeah, but like legitimate reasons, people are like weary of him.
Yeah, and outside of people just being dicks to him.
Yeah.
There's not really any of that so much. Like,
and they really dig him. Like, there'll be issues where Iron Man will be talking to Spider-Man and he's like, well, if I knew your identity, I would help you. You know, like this like thing where like Spider-Man doesn't trust anybody. Like just people sitting around like a table with their mask off and Spider-Man is sitting there with his mask on being like, yeah, I'm not letting any of you know who I am.
Like you do have
Sorry.
you have J. Jonah Jameson there basically decrying him all the time and saying like,
Yeah.
this guy's a menace to society and everything. You do have that, but you never see anyone actually be like, oh, you know what, Jameson's right.
Yeah, no, totally.
Except in this movie.
Look at the stuff that he's done.
For a little bit, they touch on like, are the Spider-Man and Goblin in cahoots? And
yeah, and like the people, like the people city, the people of the city are kind of like sometimes like, get out of here, you freak. You know, like there's like, but for the most part, people think he's a hero. You know, it's weird to think that like one person has such a strong voice that he can like skew a character so wrongly.
Well, that's I mean, that's speaking to stuff too, like even today with like pundits and all that.
Yeah, no, totally right. Yeah, talking about like, yeah, condemning people like, oh, you know, these people are weird, they're crazy. Like, dude, you're one guy and you're wrong. The whole city knows that this guy's a hero. We saw him save the whole thing of kids.
Yeah, did you not see him save the kids? Were all the people saying you mess with one of us, you mess with all of us?
Yeah, we were there. You know, like here, these are the 20 kids he saved. They'll tell you.
He's gonna be in the backdrop of an American flag soon. Come on.
yeah. He's the most American thing ever.
All right.
So she realizes that he's Spider-Man from the kiss, right?
That's where I thought it was leading at the end of this, but then she totally resets in the second one.
Oh, really? Oh, I don't remember that. Huh.
They address it a little bit in the movie. Like they're we'll talk. I mean, we can talk about that when we get to Spider-Man 2 later on and down the line, but. Yeah. That's what this was implying. I feel like at the end she kind of like realizes after she's like, oh my god, I recognize those lips.
Yeah, but then also she's like, oh, this one guy who's been here for me forever and I've never given a second for.
He
I love you? No way. It would not be like that.
He watches me through the window.
Yeah. He's there when my dad is verbally abusing me. I don't know. It just seems too forced.
It does. Like, I don't know if it was really necessary, even. Like, if they'd ended as friends and they could develop later on throughout them.
Exactly. Yeah. Not like to be like. It kind of makes her come across as being very like self-absorbed.
Well, and it also comes across as being extremely dependent on whoever she's with. Like,
yeah, totally. Yeah. Like she can't be with Harry anymore, but now she can be with this one guy who worships her.
Yeah.
Well, I'll be with you because you're going to treat me like a princess.
Yeah, like I said, if they left it ambiguous at the end, if she'd just been there as a friend.
Yeah, she would have been like, Peter, you're going through a hard time, and you've always been there for me. It really means a lot. He's like, thanks.
And then I feel like that.
Like, yeah, set up to like he could have parlayed it into something, but like he turned and walked away like, no, I can't.
And what you could have done in this is you could still have that dynamic in the sequel that they do have where it's just like he can't keep promises. He can't be there for her. And
but she has started recently noticing that maybe he might be someone she might want to be with.
Yeah, the reason it gets to her so much is because, she does love, or she is developing these feelings for him.
Yeah, but I mean, maybe they have to deliver it very heavy-handedly right now.
It has to be. Well, this is kind of your typical Hollywood, like guy gets the girl kind of in the end. Yeah. Like they do have to have a kiss, like essentially. Even though they did have a kiss as Spider-Man and Mary Jane.
Yeah.
But and here's the part where she's like, no one else uses that much tongue except Spider-Man. Does this weird swirl thing. It's weird.
Yeah, that was kind of interesting. Why are my lips covered in webs?
Now, I do like this with great power. You gotta end on power and responsibility. This is my gift.
Start the movie with it, end it with it. Yeah.
This is my gift. It is my curse.
That's great.
Part of me is just like McGuire's voice. Kind of.
I know.
Who am I? I'm Spider-Man.
I'm Spider-Man.
And there we go. He's in his full web-slinging glory, about to hit the most patriotic image ever.
Yeah, but then you get like a lot of classic Spider-Man poses coming up.
Yeah, and again, you're totally forgiving of it, given context of the time and everything.
No, I mean, like, look at that. I mean, like, okay, cool, they got that in.
Where he does the arch and everything like that.
Yeah. Like, all right.
There's one of those convenient skyscrapers, or not skyscrapers, but construction cranes that'll show up in the reboots. There's the American flag.
There it is.
He's out. Spidey
He represents. He's the best of us.
Yeah. While still being kind of the dorkiest of us. Yeah. Now, I mean, we'll just talk maybe over the credits as this is going on. We don't have to really talk about the credits so much, but yeah. So that was Spider-Man. Chad Kroger's hero is going to play us out.
So, yeah, I mean, now that we've had these Spider-Man movies and we've had the Mark Webb Spider-Man movies, I don't know, it's hard to say which one. I mean, I personally feel like the new movies represent the Spider-Man that I've always been, following better. I feel like, Tobey Maguire, never really the right casting for this movie, I don't think. I think it was a good meld of serious movie and comic book movie. Mm-hmm. But I don't know, maybe I'm a little, having seen movies like Captain America, Iron Man 3, where like it doesn't have to be like this over the top like silly thing. Maybe I'm jaded now. Well, not jaded, just kind of like I've seen how it could be.
Exactly. Well, that's what I was saying, is that we're seeing this through the fact that we've seen what Marvel's capable of doing when they have full control.
Yes.
Like at this point too, they just gave out the license of the character to the movies, and then it's up to the director and team. Now, but with Marvel Studios, you have all these films. They're projecting how they want their universe to shape up. You know, whether or not it's in line with the comics or not, but it's fairly close. I mean, they'll take liberties because you don't want to tell just. That's why you have comic books. You don't want to tell stories like the night Gwen Stacy died verbatim.
Yeah, no, totally. You got to switch up a little bit.
Yeah, you don't want to tell the Winter Soldier story exactly the way it was in the comics.
Yeah, because then what's the fun of watching it in the movie? Because you're not surprised at all.
If anything, it's like go encourage your kids to read. If anything,
yeah, right. You want to see a different interpretation of this? Read this book. Yeah, or you want to get more into it? Read this.
I think what Marvel has more in mind with Marvel Studios is that it cuts closer to the core of the character and the characterizations.
Yes. Yeah,
and then from there you can tell whatever stories you want, because obviously they don't hold the stuff. You have stuff like the Mandarin, which wasn't exactly the way it is in the comics,
but it was great.
And it's kind of holding to the tenets and principles that character holds to.
Like you have Spider-Man being morally like obligated to do this whole responsibility thing, but you don't really necessarily tell the story exactly the way it was told in the comic.
Right.
Yeah.
But I'm honestly, I still say. I mean, Spider-Man 2 for me is still the favorite out of these three films.
Yes, agreed.
I do like the Amazing Spider-Man a lot, the first one, but this would be my second one, obviously. There's no dance sequences yet and things like that. And
I mean, it will always have a place in my heart because it was my favorite character made into a movie.
Yeah, and it got there first. It's like, it did it right first. And I do remember, like, how many times did you see it in theaters?
Oh, probably like 4 times.
Four times. I think I remember when I sobered up the next morning, I went and saw it again. I was like,
I remember I saw the X-Men movies. The movie I saw it and then stayed again to see it again.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because I was like, "What is this that I just saw?"
I snuck into a theater, I think, to see it again. Yeah, so it's
nice.
Like, but I mean, it's part of the superhero film history,
Yeah, no, I mean, the movies that are happening now are because of these movies,
Yeah, and for a long time too, it was the box office like topper, like it was the one to beat.
Yeah.
I can't remember I think, was it Dark Knight that toppled it or something finally?
Maybe, yeah. I remember the first X-Men movie had like a $57 million weekend, which was like unheard of.
Yeah.
But,
because that was kind of the big one, because Blade kind of played it quiet and everything like that.
Yeah. A Blade, though, that's enough. Now, don't get me started. I can have a whole podcast about Blade, about how that movie changed things.
Oh, okay. We might have to. You know what? We might have to make this a regular occurrence then. Be like, commentary with Mark and Mike or something.
There's enough comic book movies out there.
Yeah, and I guess as we're ending here, soundtrack and so forth, and they do have the '67 Spider-Man ringtone going. So.
And before, Marvel was doing a little teaser thing at the end of their movies.
That is true. Yeah, they weren't building up to bigger universe stuff with this.
Yeah, because who knew if this movie was going to get a sequel?
Yeah, like this one. I think this is even before stuff like even Marvel Studios was an idea.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Like at this point, they were completely content with the other movie studios. Like,
they were bankrupt and they were selling their properties left and right.
Yeah, they needed the money, so it was just like whatever we can do. But yeah, a great part of our spider history and
part of our spider history.
Exactly, part of the web of our spider.
Oh,
there we go.
Yes,
we're writers. Can you tell?
Yeah, we know how to spin a phrase.
But yeah, so thanks for sticking around with us for this commentary. Hope you enjoyed. And where can we find Mark Espinosa?
Right now, primarily on the Never Ending Radical Dude. I have all my articles up there, all my little nerd rants. Yeah, check it out.
All right. Is there anything big we're expecting soon?
No, it's the summer of blockbusters. So I got the Guardians of the Galaxy coming up. Got Jupiter Ascending, bunch of stuff. So yeah, check it out if you want to see some movie reviews that are done in a very weird, nonsensical manner.
All right. And as always, you can find me over at Neverending Radical Dude as well, but also here on blip.tv/Mike McG TV. And once again, you've been listening to McChats with Mike McG and Mark Espinosa.
Thanks a lot, guys.
We'll see you next time.